Well, hello and welcome. I think we're up and running live here from Cape Town, South Africa. David here from Bronze Serpent Chess, and I am arriving, I will admit, a little bit late to the party in today's game. I am a person who has a job, like most of the people watching, and on Saturdays I do a little bit of English teaching in the morning, and my last class just ended, and now I am very excited to pick up today's game. We are looking at Magnus Carlsen playing the, I guess it's a little bit of a dream story, Nijad Abasov from Azerbaijan. And the reason why it's such a dream story is because he is playing in the tournament that the host is in for the FIDE World Cup. And I'm sure he has plenty of support. We're going to do a quick review of what has happened up to this point so far in today's game. We have E4 and C5. We've got the Sicilian defense, but one of the things I noticed, I've been kind of keeping tabs on this game, we have this incredibly unusual doubled pawn situation where Magnus has given up a pawn, but look at Abasov's pawn structure with the black pieces. This is really not ideal. You've got the two doubled pawns over here, and you have also these two doubled pawns, but really the big issue is that these are isolated pawns, which could really create some issues later on, depending on how this game goes. If it goes into an endgame, these might become real issues that need to be solved. But that said, Abasov is up a pawn still, so that's good. We have further developments. Another interesting move here, which really signals intent by Magnus, is he plays this move, rook to g1. Rook to g1 is particularly interesting because by playing that, he is essentially happily forfeiting, it seems, the right to castle. And that also shows that he is really interested in using these pawns possibly to attack on the king side, because it feels like, if you're Abasov, just looking at this position, you would think that out of his options, castling queenside really seems unappealing because there are these huge holes that look like they could become problematic in terms of just having to defend the black king if he castles queenside. So if he does choose to castle kingside, then, Magnus is maybe saying, well, I'm going to prepare my pieces to attack on the kingside. So let's see what happens. He pushes g4, which is, really... this position looks a little bit crazy, actually, when you see he just immediately goes for g4. I thought he might prepare g4, but he doesn't. Queen to e2, and then bishop to e7, developing, and you would expect Carlson. Now, this is live, so we haven't really missed out too much. We're now expecting Carlson maybe to develop his last undeveloped piece, which would be his bishop, and then seriously consider castling queenside. That's what we're looking at so far. If you are new to the stream, welcome. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day wherever you are. We're just catching up, doing a little bit of a review of the game. Stefan1012, welcome, and Yash is here as well. Hello, thanks for joining us. Really excited about today's game. It's going to be an absolute cracker. And I think, which is particularly exciting about today's game, is that we are going to have... I don't think we're going to have a draw. Just looking at this position right now, if ever I've seen a position that looks like it wasn't heading towards a draw, it would be this one as it stands right now. Magnus hasn't castled. He played rook to g1, and then immediately g4. It's just a crazy position, this. And according to the engine, Magnus is playing incredibly accurately. So that's pretty good news for Magnus. And the other thing I wanted to just share, because I've had some real technical difficulties the last stream, just trying to keep tabs on the different screens and trying to stream like someone who actually knows what they're doing. So if you're watching, we've got two screens here. We've got... Oh, is this not up to date? Hold on. Let's make sure that we're up to date here. We don't want to be behind the... Okay, so this is up to date. This is current. So this board is the live board. Right now it's Magnus to move. And if we shift over to the green board, we've got the analysis board where we can look at some lines. I'll take suggestions if you have any ideas of what move you think will happen next. Hold on. Maybe this isn't... Is this current? Wait a second. Okay, either one of these is not current. I think possibly this one. Let me just refresh the page to make sure that I'm not behind. because that is perfectly possible that there's a little bit of a delay so far. All right, let's take a look at the Chess 24 stream, and that will give us a little bit more clarity. Make sure that we aren't missing anything. Okay, we're gonna jump to live pictures. This is Magnus at the board right now. Okay, so he's played bishop to a6. Yes, this is all live. So hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, queen to e2 and bishop to e7. That's all on the board. And then, oh, I think they might just be catching up. It's possible that we're a little behind. No, this is live. This is definitely live. Okay, so Magnus with an hour and 13 minutes, trying to figure out what his next move is. Let's take a look at some suggestions here on the board. I'm going to back up a little bit because for some reason the engine seems to have filled in the gaps on some moves, which I find a little odd. But let's make sure that the analysis board reflects the live board, so I'm not completely confusing myself. Yes, this looks all correct. Okay, so right now the engine thinks that bishop to b2 makes a lot of sense. Very natural looking move. Developing the bishop and getting it on the a1 h8 diagonal. And of course, right now this bishop doesn't look all that great. You know, it's pretty limited in terms of where it can move along this diagonal for now. But often when you see a move like this where things have been sort of closed down in the center because their pawns holding onto the d4 square, this is more of a longer term move, making sure that the bishop is on the right diagonal so that when the center starts breaking down a little bit, that this bishop is going to be ready to take advantage of lines opening up. And now really white is incentivized to try at some point to destabilize the center. And immediately a move like g5 does also look like it's something that white is going to want to play. Because this e5 pawn, if you can destabilize the e5 pawn, then it seems like it could become a good target for Carlson to play towards. Okay, but back to the board here. Still waiting on Magnus to make a move. And I'm going to try and keep as updated as possible, making sure that I don't miss anything. Because in the live stream that I did, when was it on? I think on Thursday, towards the end, the moves were coming in so quickly and I actually missed quite a few of them, much to the irritation of my viewers. So let's take a look at the stream. We've got Black's Dark's, Dark Bishop is not in place. Let's take a look at that and see if that is... you're right. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's back up. I think I must have gotten the move order wrong then. What tempos? Okay, so now... queen and then bishop. Okay, thank you so much. Who was that? Ian. I appreciate that. Thanks for filling in the gaps there. That is an important detail in this position. I don't think it affects too much of the analysis that we're looking at with this bishop development, but obviously we want to make sure we're up to date. Okay, well spotted. So still waiting for Magnus to move, and this, to bring it back to the story about Nijat Abasov, look at his, you can just take a look at his rating. He's rated 2646, which is, don't make any mistake, that is incredibly respectable, and it's so much better than 99.99999% of chess players are never going to even get anywhere near this guy. However, when it comes to the top tier elite players, he really has no business at all. I hate to say it, but it highlights how incredible his run has been. He doesn't have really any business being in this position. And that's what makes it so exciting. It's a bit of a David and Goliath situation where he's the underdog, and I, for one, am definitely rooting for him. But I think it's nearly miraculous that he's played at such a high level. I think he took out Anish Giri, the number 5 seed. And right now, I'm not sure. I think he's like 80th or 90th in the world. Really impressive to see that he has made such an incredible run. And now, say what you will about his position. It looks a little bit ridiculous with the doubled pawns. But he's up a pawn. And sure, when we were looking at the Gukesh game, when Carlson was playing against Gukesh, that didn't end up amounting to much. Gukesh's extra pawn. But it's completely possible that Abasov is able to make that pawn count in this game. So we'll see. We will see. So other options other than developing the bishop to b2 would be a4. And a4 seems to make sense as well, just trying to take space. And also, I think, somewhat limiting the light square bishop. Can no longer come to b5. That's not really a huge deal. But it seems that there are a lot of good moves for... There are a lot of good moves here for white, for Magnus to play. I'm looking at the engine. I can see like 5 moves here. All of them are basically equal. The engine seems to evaluate this as equal. But just from a practical perspective, ignoring what the engine says, is that there are a lot of moves are very intuitive, especially bishop to b2, developing the bishop. g5 is amongst the more aggressive options that are recommended. And this would be like completely hysterical, actually, if black takes here. And if black takes here, white is almost sure to have an advantage because, okay, yes, it's true that black is now up 2 pawns, but look at black's pawn structure. It's like such a joke. There are 3 sets of doubled pawns. So pushing g5 might be a little bit much. Well, actually pushing g5 might be a serious consideration, but taking on g5 for Abasov might feel a little bit uncomfortable. The idea, it's, one thing that he's got these 2 sets of doubled pawns, but now having 3 sets might be a little bit ridiculous. So we'll see. Okay, Abasov is 69th in the world. Thank you, Ayan. Ayan is the man with answers. He's helping me sort out the position. He's telling me all of the details about who's ranked what. I appreciate it. Okay, let's hope that you can get to 500 likes on today's stream, Dosos says. Last stream got 480. Yes, okay. I need to remind the viewers that we want to try and break that record for sure. But for now, we're just along for the ride. We're enjoying the game. Let's make sure that the footage that we've got on camera is current. Yes, it is. Looking good. I'm just going to try. What I'm going to try to do is stop talking about what I'm doing and actually do it. Hold on. Someone once told me that I self-narrate a lot, which is like if I'm doing something, then I say it out loud, which no one really wants to hear. So I'll avoid that. I'll just be quiet. Okay, all done. So back to the game. Let's take a look at the board. That was the analysis board, and it seems that we have a move. Okay, so Carlson played the one of the expected moves, bishop to b2. And now it is back to Abasov. The ball is in his court. He needs to decide what will he do. I think Carlson must, from the time that he spent, really seriously been considering playing g5. And I think one of the reasons why he was seriously considering it is that his intent is so clear from the outset of this game. Giving up a pawn in the opening and then playing rook to g1, giving up the right to castle kingside so that he can push g4 immediately. I mean, there was no preparation, not h3, g4. It was immediately g4. And I think at some point he might seriously be considering pushing g5, and he was trying to decide whether does he do it immediately, completely destabilize black's pawn structure, and then go on from there. But I think that Carlson obviously spent enough time to consider this g5 move and decided against it, opting for developing the bishop to b2. And now one wonders in this position, let me just get this up. Oh wait, hold on. So okay, he doesn't play g5. We have bishop to b2 on the board. And now I was thinking, okay, we have another move. We have another move. Wow, Abasov immediately plays queen to a5. Follows up with queen to a5. Now, what is the point of queen to a5? let's take a look for a moment. Queen to a5. I mean, it's putting pressure, of course, on the knight on d2. The knight is frozen because, of course, the king is along this diagonal, so it can't move either. And it rules out moves like knight to e4 and knight to c4. Those are no longer possible. So on face value, that seems reasonable. And also, I mean, looking at it now, usually when the queen comes to a5, you want to try and find some way to chase it away. But it's actually a really clever move. And just looking at the position right now, with the queen on a5, right, it's pinning the knight, as I already mentioned, but it's also forcing white to come up with some answers and say, okay, well, what are you going to do with your king? You decided that you're going to play rook to g1 earlier. Now, more ideally, what I would feel comfortable is castling kingside if I hadn't played g4 here. But now the other option is to try and unpin your king and play castle queenside. But of course you can't castle queenside because then the queen can pick up the pawn on a2. So this is kind of putting a little bit of pressure on Magnus to say, okay, well, what are you going to do with your king? Because this knight is very important. This knight needs to move somewhere. There are a lot of natural looking squares for this knight to go. And you would even consider rerouting the knight on f3 back here possibly and trying to get it an opportunity to find an outpost as well. So there are several options here and several questions that Magnus needs to answer. If you look at the evaluation bar here on the chess.com engine, don't give too much thought to that. I think, again, as we discovered in the last live stream, that's a little bit glitchy. So yeah, take that a little bit with a pinch of salt. Let's see. Paul Christian, already doubled pawns. Yes, Paul. It's pretty nuts that we have this situation where there's double pawns. And I wish I could say that... I mean, it seemed that both players were on board with this doubled pawn situation. Abasov obviously gets these doubled pawns on the c file and on the e file, but in compensation for that, he is up a pawn. So we're going to see if that amounts to much. But for now, Magnus has a decision to make in terms of what he does with his king. Okay, we haven't looked at all what the engine says. Engine likes a4 here, which is interesting. a4 or g5. Wow, it really likes this g5 move. It's been recommending this g5 move for a while. I thought maybe at one point, because g5 does look quite threatening, how terrible maybe playing something like h6 is. Or even something hyper, like really going for it and playing immediately g5. Okay, that isn't recommended by the engine, but it was just what I thought might work, and it doesn't seem to be too bad. Okay. But the issue with playing a move like g5 is that there might be some tactics. This bishop on b2 is just cutting across, and if at any point these pawns start to break down, this bishop's going to be a beast. I mean, of course, Abasov still has his dark square bishop, but nonetheless, that's not what happened. We have, let me just back up, queen to e2, bishop to e7, and then bishop to b2, and then queen to a5. So that's the current position as it stands right now. And we are waiting for Carlson to decide what to do. Because there's a pin on his king. And I think what's quite instructive here is the engine says a5. And it's showing us, or telling us, that this threat of the queen being on this diagonal, for the time being, is not really worth being concerned about. I would be quite concerned. I would consider maybe pushing these pawns, but then you start destabilizing your own pawn structure and creating weaknesses, specifically the weakness on d3, for example. Here, it looks like the rook can come in, the bishop's attacking this pawn, and now you don't really want to push this pawn forward. Yeah, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But from the engine's perspective, it seems to think that this pin, yeah, it's not ideal. You can't move your knight, but it doesn't matter. You can carry on developing in other ways, and you can create ideas by taking a little bit more space with a5, or even sacrificing this pawn. Although, I wonder, how does this work now? Let's see. This is very interesting. So g5 is the move that's recommended by the engine. And oh wow. Okay, so Carlson plays c4. Wow. Okay, let's back up. Doesn't play g5. He plays c4 immediately. Interesting. Interesting. The engine does not love this move. The engine does not love this move. And I think, I mean, one of the things that I just mentioned now is the fact that the pawn on d3 is a little bit loose, or it's a lot looser now. And if you play something like c3 or c4, it becomes a little bit of a target, depending on what black does here. So black's best response to this is knight to d6, which makes sense. After the knight developed, how did it develop? It went this way. Okay, so obviously out of the opening, knight to g8 to h6, and then to f7, and then now to d6. So the knight's been dancing around, but this is a very common pattern if you're going to develop the knight via h6. So this is not really that big of a surprise. And it's a good square for the knight to be on. It's doing a pretty good job there. Wow. And now, let's see. Back to the game. Okay, no, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for what move. But I really do expect a move like knight to d6. The other option is he could say, okay, I'm going to play g5. The threat of Carlson playing g5 first might be sinking in a little bit now for Abasov. So it's possible that he just closes down the position first. There's always an opportunity to play knight to d6 basically at any point in the future. But he's maybe tempting fate to allow Carlson to play g5 first. Even though it may look like a bit of a pawn sacrifice. Let's just take a look at g5 now. For example, if we have this and immediately play g5, g5 doesn't seem to be as effective now as it was a few moments ago for Carlson. Takes. Yeah, you don't want to take. Of course you don't want to take with black, because then it creates these doubled isolated pawns. So you're just going to leave the pawn there. Yeah, makes sense. So maybe g5 isn't much of a real concern for Abasov. He can immediately play knight to d6 and be very happy with his situation. Okay, we haven't moved, but no, he doesn't. Okay, so he obviously sees something that I don't, which is not surprising. He immediately plays knight to g5. And now it's really interesting because we're starting to get some more defined, concrete targets for both players. Here's black's target, the d3 pawn. Needs to be defended. You have to be pretty careful here. And at some point, it's going to try and get the rook on d8. And the target for white is trying to break down the center and get some real damage here. So one of the things that it doesn't really work now, if the bishop wasn't on e2 and the knight wasn't here, there's sort of sacrificing lines over here to try and open up and really highlight some issues along this diagonal. But yeah, for the time being, there's nothing too serious to worry about, but we'll see. I mean, we'll certainly see how this goes. Okay, do we have another move? Yes, we do. Gosh, they are coming quick. Like you cannot believe. h4! Wow. Oh my goodness. This is it. I mean, this looks like a game that Carlson is set on winning. This looks like a game that Carlson is not messing around with. Immediately plays h4. And I find this really interesting. So the thing that we said earlier is that after Abasov plays g5, Carlson really wants to magnify the strength of this bishop longer term. And what's the best way he can do that? Well, he's trying to break down the center over here. This little central clump of pawns. And h4 doesn't seem to do that immediately, but of course you are threatening to take. And after take, knight takes, then you're going to have these two doubled pawns. The bishop is a little bit out of the picture here. If the bishop was over here on h6, it might be a little easier because you can maintain this pawn clump. But now, I mean, for example, if let's just say let's just say black does something completely. Let's just waste the tempo. Just move the king. Now h takes g is a serious concern because you're gonna have to take back. You can't just give up the pawn. But now even the engine says you can't take back. That's how bad the position is. I mean, you really can't allow this takes. So pawn takes is not acceptable unless you prepare instead of instead of doing something stupid. You prepare for it by playing h6 and then just kind of keeping things together, which we see on the board. Okay, that just happened moments ago. Just then we have h6, and that makes a lot of sense. Black has no interest in white trying to break down the central pawn clump. So he protects that pawn, and now everything's pretty much fine. Although the engine still does like takes here. Oh no, it doesn't. Not anymore. Okay, hold on. What am I doing? h6 and now h5. Interesting. H5 is very clever. H5 is very clever because now it's going to be very, very hard. In a situation like this where you have these two pawns, usually you just want to try and break down your opponent's pawn structure by pushing something like f5. See this a lot in, like, I think in a lot of closed variations of openings where you have in the Sicilian, even in Queen's Gambit, where your opponent is trying to destabilize things by pushing a pawn. And that theme works, I think, in a position like this too. So I think what's happened here is that now a move like f5 is not ideal because, again, this bishop is going to become stronger. And, well, f5 now, you might even be able to just take. So h5 seems to be the correct move. And let's see if Carlson can find h5. Does he find it? No. No, he moves his rook back. Wow, what a move. That is seriously odd. Okay, this is crazy. Rook to g1 and then rook to h1, just moving back. Keeping the tension over here. Let's see how the engine responds to rook to h1. Okay, rook to h1. Doesn't love it, doesn't hate it. Rook to h1 is a totally fine move, but now castles. And I think black, if you're playing with the black pieces here, I think this is completely fine. Feels pretty comfortable. Just castling queenside, you'd probably be really happy to do that. You kind of tuck your king away. There's pieces about to defend the king, and also white is not showing any real signs of threatening your king at all. If anything, it's the other way around. Now that you've got the rook on d8, the d3 pawn is looking a little loose. And what's very concerning is that you're going to really struggle to figure out how to castle, because whatever you do when you castle, the a2 pawn is going to be hanging unless you play a3 at some point. But then you're going to start creating other weaknesses. Okay, a little bit on b3, but it's not that big of a deal now with the knight there. But the knight seems like it's guarding b3, but it isn't really because it's pinned. So, I mean, if you get a rook, okay, well, you'll be castled, so that won't really happen. But if you can attack this square another way, allow the knight to come in, say rerouting the knight and trying to get it to a5. But yeah, then I suppose you're going to remove the pin. So, but anyway, the main thing is, oh, that's not the move. The main thing is I think this is a little bit easier to play for Abasov, truth be told. All right, we have the move on the board. We have castles. Okay, so let's get long castles in. Long castles is on the board. Welcome, the Suzzy Dota 2 channel. Hello to you. And hello to everyone watching. I hope you're all having a wonderful, a fantastic day. This is a super interesting game if you're just joining us. Abasov is playing with the black pieces against Magnus Carlsen. And there is quite a significant difference here. This is the position as it stands, and this is the analysis board. Right now they're the same. But if you do see me jumping over to the green board, that's what I'm doing. I'm just looking at some analysis. So now it's Carlson to play. Carlson is up a pawn, which he's given up for free in order to create this completely horrifying looking pawn structure. But it seems now that even though the evaluation bar looks like it's in Carlson's favor, that I think is not current. If you look at the evaluation bar here, this is more accurate. Wow! Carlson castles! Oh my goodness. Guys, just throw out everything that I know about chess. Look at this. He castles and he's like, I don't care. Take the a2 pawn. I'm down a pawn already. Take the a2 pawn. I don't care. Let's see what happens if you take the a2 pawn. H takes. Okay, so H takes. And then knight takes. And then knight takes. And then H takes. And then rook takes probably, yep. Rook takes. And now king to c2. And now, what is up here? This is crazy. So it's simplified right down. And even though white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns, and black has like a ton of pawns, what's going to end up happening, oh, here is that the rook is coming to a1, it must be. Yes. So to avoid that, we have queen to a5, and now f4. Wow. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. f4, the engine likes f4. Yikes. Okay, let's head back to the board before we go down too much of a rabbit hole. Carlson has castled, and now Abasov needs to decide what he's going to do. I think he's calculating what we just looked at 1 moment ago. Queen takes. But I feel like this is I have to say, for someone who really enjoys chess and thinks that I know a little bit about chess, this is very counterintuitive because Carlson is down a pawn here, right? That's the situation. And he's giving up another pawn on a2. The compensation he's going to get, even after all of the takes and all of the pieces are exchanged, he's going to get the king on c2 and he's going to have rook to a1. And rook to a1 is going to attack the bishop and this pawn and possibly get some material back, but generally get a lot of compensation along the a file. And although black will be up a pawn or two possibly, the structure is such that it is not really that concerning if you're playing with the white pieces. Incredible. Really, really interesting and very instructive to be able to see that in a position like this, you can be down out of the opening material. And even though there aren't any definitive attacking chances with the white pieces, white just seems to be on the back foot. If you just looked at this position without calculating much, you say, wow, black seems to be advancing. Black has a little bit of extra material advantage. What's going on here? And the idea of castling queenside and just giving up the a2 pawn, I mean, that's why he's 2,835. And this is almost like a bluff. It's like, hey, you're going to take that pawn. Are you going to take that pawn or not? Okay, so king to d1, king to d2. King to d1 or king to d2. Oh, maybe it was after that line that I was looking at. Oh, queen takes c2. Hold on, I'm confused. Maybe I think you're looking at the analysis board here. Let's take a look at what the engine suggests. After Carlson castles here, right? It's very tempting to pick up the a2 pawn. Alternatively, you could play queen to c7 and just move back. And the engine likes this. The engine does not love queen takes. The engine doesn't think that queen takes is all that good. It's a slight edge, but it is an edge for white. And let's quickly take a look at why. So we had takes, knight takes, takes, king to c2, and then queen to a5. I'm assuming rook to a1. Rook to a1 is up there, yeah. And then bishop to b6, yeah. Okay, so you have to, there's only really one logical place to put the queen. Everything else just loses because you can't give up this bishop. So you need to defend the bishop and then f4. And this is, again, you're giving up another pawn. The engine loves f4. G takes. And now g5, giving up another pawn. What? What is going on here? Okay, I see why. All right, now if you take here, and you really can't take here, the issue is that this bishop that has been sitting on b2 doing nothing forever now has just become an absolute beast. Because you can take with the queen, firstly, and you have complete dominion along this diagonal. And even though, look how many pawns black is up. This is nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are only 3 pawns. You've just given 3 pawns away. But yet here, this position is completely crushing for black. Crushing for white, for Carlson. So this is obviously what Carlson is looking into. He's seeing that this pawn has a lot of potential. I mean, this is amazing. This is actually completely insane. To give up 3 pawns and also trade off further material, which would usually be really concerning, actually leads to a position where white is in the driver's seat. So this whole exchange might be something that is a serious concern for Abasov. Taking on a2, he might be calculating some of these lines and realize that once the rook comes to a1 and once you can get this G pawn moving, might not be as great as it looks for black, despite the fact that black's going to be up material. So I'm not sure. All right, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. Let me know how things are going on your side. We have 27 concurrent viewers. Welcome to the stream. That is wonderful. And we have 12 likes. Don't forget to give the thumbs up. It's great to have you. A little bit of an update for those of you who are just joining the stream. We are covering the Magnus Carlsen game today. Magnus Carlsen is playing against Nijat Abasov. And now Carlson has just made an incredible move here. And he has castled queenside. And as you can see from the position, black is up material already. Black's up a pawn, which is great. However, his pawn structure is super ugly. And now Carlson has just given up another pawn. Queen can take on a2. The question is, for all y'all, Universe Factory says, Giat, good morning. Beautiful people. Good morning to you. Universe Factory, not Universal Factory. I'm going to start a poll. Question. Take the pawn. Yes or no? That's the question. Take the a2 pawn. Yes or no? All right, let's go. Take the a2 pawn. Yes or no? Hit it. If you're sitting in this position, you're playing with the black pieces and you're Abasov, you're up a pawn. You're going to take that pawn or not? Even considering that whole variation, I might be inclined to take the pawn because there are ways to defend. You don't have to give up this diagonal. You don't have to take this pawn. There are absolutely ways to defend. So are you going to take the a2 pawn? Bearing in mind that even if white plays optimally, you're going to get another pawn. You get 3 pawns up. Oof. Yikes. Take the pawn, yes or no? Ugh. People don't like the pawn. People are like, I don't know about this pawn. This pawn is very risky. It's a very risky pawn. There are all sorts of variations in chess, like the poisoned pawn variation. But it's not these. And it's usually the b2 pawn or the b7 pawn. Actually, no, it might be the other side. The g2 or the g7 pawn. Where whenever you give up that pawn, even though you gain a material advantage, the time spent capturing the pawn leads to problems down the road. And if anyone's going to create problems down the road, it's going to be Magnus. He knows what's what. This isn't his first rodeo. All right. Queen takes a2, king to c2. Yes, that's the other option. So the engine likes just trying to prefers white simplifying the position by takes. But the other option is exactly this: is queen takes, and then immediately king to c2, and then the same line that we looked at before, except this time there's still material on this side of the board. Both the rooks are here, and the knights are still in the game. But you're still threatening to play rook to a1, and you have to deal with that. By the way, if you do anything other than moving your queen here, your queen's trapped. So that's a consideration. For example, if you're like, hey, maybe I'll just move my king over here. Immediately rook to a1 wins on the spot because the queen has no squares to go to. So, but I imagine most of the people watching already knew that. But it's fun to keep an eye for these things, because unlike grandmasters, people like me are still prone to blundering. And I think most people are, people make mistakes. But it seems that the kind of mistakes that Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen and Grandmaster Nijat Abasov makes, the kind of mistakes that they make are quite different. Goat Plays, you need more subs, bro. Great YouTuber, by the way. Hey, that is my first donation in the chat. Thank you so much, Goat Plays. What a legend. What an absolute prince among men. $2. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying the stream. And thanks for the donation. I do appreciate it. So, back to the game. Do we see anything from Abasov? He's still thinking. Queen takes on a2. To take or not to take? If he asked for a lifeline from the Bronze Serpent Chess audience, he would get an overwhelming 71% of the people on stream saying, hell no. Hell no. Not taking the a2 pawn. Why should I take the a2 pawn? Well, yes, it's material. And if you take all of the pawns and all of the pieces, then you will probably win. But as we looked at earlier, the two options of just trading off all the pieces or just the king to c2 and then bringing the rook in, your development now with black is quite stunted. You're on the back foot. You've given up the a file. And I think because of that, it might not be in your best interest to take on a2. The upside is if you take on a2 and can escape back and somehow manage to get to an endgame up 2 or 3 pawns, Carlson is going to be in a lot of trouble. You're already up a pawn now. But if you find some small way of being able to complicate things for Carlson, he's going to be in trouble. So I think Carlson knows exactly what he's doing. He's taking risks. He's wanting to win this game. He knows if he wins this game with the white pieces, all he has to do, just like the last pair of games that we saw with Gukesh, just needs to win the next game, draw the next game. And that'll put him in the finals. So he is choosing to really go for it here, knowing that he's able to calculate exactly what's going on in this position, and that queen takes a2, maybe not the best move for Abasov. All right, some people are still looking now at maybe saying, yes, I do want to take the pawn. There's only 9 votes. So we need some more votes happening. Take a look at the poll in the chat. If you're just joining us, there are 34 people watching right now. Take a look at the poll. Let me know what you think. Are you going to take this a2 pawn with a queen? Or are you not going to take the a2 pawn with a queen? Last move, Carlson just castled. Queenside castled, giving up the pawn. Not a blunder. Engine likes castles. Engine loves queenside castles in this position. Says it's the only move. Oh, except for h takes g. H takes g is also fine. So now, to take or not to take, you guys decide. Let me know. What are your thoughts? Magnus is not going to win this World Cup. That is a bold prediction, Satyam Kumar says. We will see. We'll see exactly what happens, and I think this game is going to be... Well, it's going to be interesting in the sense that Carlson wins this. He's got a lot of momentum going into the final. Obviously, whoever he's playing against is going to have a lot of momentum as well. But the one thing we know is that when Carlson gets on form, when he starts getting into this habit of just winning and winning and winning, he becomes unbeatable. Feels that way. Just develops these long streaks of just dominating his opposition. Wow, we have another donation. Thank you so much. The Suzzy Dota. I appreciate it. What a champion. Goodness me. Oh, it's a super sticker. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. The first stream I did, someone was like, hey, do you have super stickers enabled? And I was like, even is that? Like, I don't even know what that is. So I had to go and Google it and then like go onto YouTube and find out what that actually meant. So then I did enable, but it's Nijat, not Nijit. Oh, Nijat. Sorry. Thanks for the pronunciation correction. I appreciate it. But back to the donation. Thank you so much, the Suzzy Dota 2. Legend. Absolute legend. Ah, now we're getting some votes in. We've got 19 votes. A lot of people, 63% of people saying don't take on A2. Oy, 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 oy. That A2 pawn looks very, very tempting. Very, very tempting to take on A2. Let's see. I want to see what other options are available here. Let's back up. Okay, so takes, of course, is one. The other one we were looking at. Okay, a lot of queen moves. A lot of queen moves here. And king moves, actually. Interesting. Queen to c7. A lot of equal moves that you can play that really maybe signal the kind of intention of going for a draw. If Abasov decides to take on a2, it's basically saying one thing. He's saying, I think I can win this game, and I'm going to try and beat the world champion at home in my... Excuse me. Sorry. In my home country of Azerbaijan, I'm going to try and beat Magnus Carlsen. How epic would that be? Yes, it would be epic, but at the same time, you know, he's 28 years old. He's been around the block. He's not going to do anything too crazy. He's going to take his chance when it presents itself. And there's also nothing wrong here with the black pieces of playing something more conservatively, like queen to c7, and trying to play defensively so that you can get a draw. Because if you can get a draw with the black pieces, that means tomorrow you're playing with the white pieces. And obviously playing with the white pieces is a little bit of an advantage. You might be more inclined to take your chance tomorrow if you can get a draw today. That might be a consideration as well for Abasov. All right, let's take a look at the chat. What other moves are available? I think taking will be a good idea. But that's when Abasov is able to calculate the way back for the queen and put pressure on Carlson for being 3 pawns down. Absolutely. So here Daniel is talking about 3 pawns. You might say, well, he's only 1 pawn, and if he takes, it's 2 pawns. But the thing about taking here is that the engine likes just trading everything off here. Takes, oh wait, sorry, not that way. Takes with the knight, takes with the knight, takes, and now queen to c2, and then queen to a5, and then crazy, another pawn sacrifice. This is the move that I'm sure they're calculating now, f4. And f4 takes, pushing another pawn, and now this one is too much. Now you've got 3 pawns. If you take a 4th pawn, then what happens? White is somehow significantly ahead here. After rook to a1, we have queen to d8, and now this pawn is hanging, by the way. But, oh wow, hold on. What's going on here? There's some problem here. You can't play queen to b6 anymore? Wow. Queen to b6, queen takes on e5, rook to f8. And now what's the deal? Check. Oh, wow. Attacking the bishop and the king at the same time. And if you move to d8, which is what you're supposed to do, bishop to c3. Oh, wow. What? Oh my gosh. Bishop to c3, threatening bishop to a5, skewering the queen and the king. Oh my gosh, that is nuts. What? That's crazy. Okay, so guys, I've got this new rule now. Guys and gals, let's head back to the game, make sure we're not missing anything. Still waiting for Abasov. We're going to show that line again because it's so cool. And when we show the insane lines where we sacrifice lots of material and we show elements of brilliancy, we put on the meme glasses. That's the new rule. So let's back up and show that line again. That was pretty cool. All right, so queen takes, knight takes, takes, king to c2, and then what was it? Queen to a5, f4, takes, push g5, And now, instead of, what was the idea here? Oh, is if you take here, that's what we wanted to calculate. Rook to a1. You can't come to b6, but we're going to show what happens if you do go to b6. Takes, what was it? Rook to f8. Rook to f8, takes check, and now bishop to c3, threatening skewering, and now there's all this pressure on the king. And even though Carlson has given up like tons of material here, we get this incredible position where white is actually 3 pawns up in terms of the position, despite being 4 pawns down. Look, is it 4 pawns? No, 3 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or maybe it's only 2 pawns now because you picked up one of the remaining pawns. But still, before you picked up the pawn over here, it was 3 pawns. So this is a crazy position. That is actually really, really beautiful. And these types of threats, I mean, you have to now move the queen back. Well, I mean, where do you move the queen? You can't move it back here because you're still getting the skewer with the bishop on a5. And if you move back here, what's the situation? Now, oh, you're still going to throw in the check. And now you're going to have to... Knight to e4. This is terrifying. Knight to e4, it's all very slow moving. It's not like there's a sudden tactic that wins the game for you. But all of these pieces that were sitting back in white's camp now are mobilized. And the only reason those pieces are mobilized is because of the fact that you sacrificed pawns. You sacrificed the g pawn. You sacrificed the f pawn. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, guys, that is our cool move for today. If you find any more cool moves, I'll put on the Thug Life meme glasses again. The only problem is I can't wear them for too long because they actually have bits of tape on them, and then you actually can't see with them. So not very practical. I don't recommend buying these. But my English students that I use, that I teach, sometimes I put them on and they love it. So, you know, I thought I'd multi-purpose use it for stream as well. All right, back to the game. Do we have any... oh, wait, we've got a couple of moves on the board. No, we don't. We've just had a move on the board. All right, we didn't miss anything. Abasov just played the more conservative route, queen to c7. That's a shame. It would have been incredible to see some mad lines with queen takes a2. All right, we need to end the poll. How many of you guys were right? 68% of you were absolutely spot on. Well done. You guys know your chess. The right move is not to take on a2. The right move is to retreat with the queen. It seems that that's the right way. Now the question is, what does Carlsen do here? Pray tell. What does Carlsen do? That is a good question. So now all of these lines of... We might still find some of these lines, especially once things clear up on the king side. For example, we can still maybe find a situation where we have this situation with h takes g, knight takes, and then an exchange of rooks. And then possibly some kind of sacrifice of pushing the g pawn if things go down that particular variation. Let's see. All right, bye-bye. So sad that we don't get to see you again, Mr. Queen takes a2. All right, so back to the game. We have now the much more conservative queen to c7. It says it's an accuracy here, but don't take too much credence to that. Queen coming back to c7 is perfectly fine according to the engine, but I think the preferred move here was queen to... Nope, queen to... Oh, bishop to b7. That was the preferred move. Bishop to b... Just moving this back. Maybe this changes things in terms of giving you the option of taking on a2 later, depending on what takes place on the king side. So that, I think, is a little bit more of a multi-purpose move. The tactic after the rook comes to... after the king comes to a2 and then the rook comes to a1 maybe is less of a concern, but I'm not sure. We're not going to look at that right now. Okay, so we have a couple of moves. Carlsen plays knight to e4, and now we have the ball in Abasov's court again. So let's see what's happening here. Castles, no takes. We have queen to c7 and then knight to e4. Knight to e4 is an interesting move. Knight to e4 is seems like a very natural move as well. It's centralizing this knight and giving it many options in terms of where to go next. Not that there is necessarily anything that can happen immediately. You know, this pawn is being protected by the bishop. And this bishop's doing a good job at holding the center together and extending as far as the g5 square as well. But it's definitely creating more tension in the center. And I think that this is certainly something that Abasov is going to have to take into account, that this knight is incredibly, incredibly strong here. And you might really be inclined to try and kick the knight away, but pushing something like f5, f5 on face value looks okay. I mean, I haven't looked at what the engine says about it, but f5 looks on face value pretty good because you're ironing out your pawn structure. You know, you've got these doubled pawns, you prefer to iron them out, but the weakness that you're creating along the a1, h8 diagonal is like pretty unpleasant. And it probably is just not that great. I could be wrong though. Maybe it's okay. Let's see what happens if you just push this pawn. Yeah, engine doesn't like it. Takes. E takes. And now knight to g3. You can actually just move back with your knight. Yeah, it's one of those positions that if you get in a blitz game and you're playing with the black pieces, you're actually pretty happy because you're like, man, I've got like this wall of pawns. And you're a little bit concerned about the bishop on b2, but you're like, whatever, it'll be fine. But in reality, there are a lot of good ways to continue here with white. So that's interesting. Back to the game. We are still waiting on Abasov to figure out what he's going to do next. I'd kind of be interested to see if he's seriously considering about pushing f5. You know, he's decided not to take the a2 pawn. Maybe now is the time to find some other slightly riskier move. Play f5, allow the counterplay along this diagonal, but the compensation that you get is ironing out your pawn structure, and you have a little bit of a wall of pawns coming towards the king side of white's position. So interesting. Okay, let's take a look at the chat for a little bit. Make sure that I don't miss anything. Back to the chats. Bishop to d6 for black is away. Better idea is to push f5 though. Yes, we're looking at f5. That seems to be... it's still... the engine, again, the engine doesn't like f5, but I think in practical terms, it could create a lot of opportunities for black. So, but it's just risky. And I think, again, the fact that Abasov played queen to c7 and didn't take on a2, he's probably got this thing in the back of his mind that if he can draw the first game with the black pieces, that's fine. So, yeah, you can see here that the engine thinks f5 is a mistake. It's by a small margin, but it really prefers king to b8. Just moving the king across. And maybe allowing the bishop at some point to develop via c8 is the point of that, or probably also maybe some king safety in mind. I'm not entirely sure why king to b8 is the best move, but that's what the engine prefers. But yeah, f5 trying to just get rid of this doubled pawn. I have to say, I mean, it looks very tempting. It does look quite tempting. Okay, hello man from Nazgul. Hello to you. What if black takes the pawn with what if black takes with pawn rather than knight? Okay, I'm not sure which knights are you referring to. Just give me a little bit more details on that. If you take with the a2 pawn, then the rooks can connect. Okay, let's head back. I just heard that there's a move. So we have g takes h. g5 takes h4. So now the question is, are you going to take with the knight or are you going to take with the rook? See much of a muchness, but probably be more inclined to take with the knight here. Let's see what the engine says. Takes. Yeah, knight takes h4. Threatening to jump in and fork. It's not a real fork because it doesn't lose anything. But this is a real threat though. I mean, if you get The dark square bishop. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's tricky. Feel like if you're going to fork here, you really do want to take the dark square bishop. Probably would be the best move. But instead, you're going to just defend it. If you're playing with black, rook h8 to g8. Rook h to g8. Rook h8 to g8. No, rook h to g8. Because there's only one rook on the h file. Okay. We have another move. Let's take a look. Knight takes is the move that we've got on the board. Not a huge surprise. And now, I think we're probably going to... I mean, I don't think this is a particularly difficult move to play. And I don't think Abasov is going to take any time. In fact, he immediately plays it. There we have the follow-up move. Okay. So this is the position as it stands. Remember, if you are just joining us, welcome. The green board is the analysis board. And this board over here with the clock, the pictures of the players... That is the live board as it stands right now. I had a bit of a technical disaster in the last stream. You can go and watch and laugh your head off. If you watch the last stream that I did, lots of people were watching, which was great. Always good to make mistakes in front of lots of people. But I got to the end and everyone was like, move! Why aren't you moving? And I completely lost track of the game and everyone in the chat was raging. So if you were amongst those people that were raging, I apologize. I am very sorry. But anyway, it was a good learning curve, that's. So, let's see. Take pawn, that's complete. I would like to maybe make another poll. I'd like to make another poll. And the question here will be, what happens next? What do you play next if you're white? But first we must look at some options. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Earlier, one of the earlier lines that we were looking at with queen takes h2. After a whole bunch of pieces were exchanged, we had f4. f4 here, it just looks like you're completely giving up a pawn. I mean, completely giving up a pawn. The queen is defending this diagonal. You can just full on take. But if you take, we have... Now, what? Knight takes f6. This is a move. Of course, it's only being defended once. So you might not be so inclined. And already, I think... Okay, so this is also something that I did look at earlier. Is that f4 really achieves a lot by destabilizing this clump of pawns. And earlier... we needed to get rid of, or white needed to try and trade off a bunch of pieces to highlight this weakness. And there were other tactics around f4 and then g4 with the rook on h6. But now because the h pawn is still here, the h6 pawn, I think it's this f4, g5 situation is, and also with the knight over here, is not really playable. But you can immediately play f4 with the idea of regaining the pawn on f6. Okay, that makes sense. So that looks like quite a good move if you're playing with the white pieces. And Magnus is probably thinking about that now, f4. So that's one move. What else? Any other thoughts? I want to see a queen sack. Rook to g1. Let's see, rook to g1. Rook to g1? Rook to g1. Rook to g1... Not a terrible move. You're defending this pawn. I think the engine doesn't like it. And probably one of the reasons why is it might just be a little bit slow. And also the queen is doing a perfectly fine job of defending the g pawn. The engine wants initiative. And that's why it wants to see not that move, because that's physically impossible. That move, which is possible. That's why I think the engine wants f4. f4 is a little bit more take control of the center while you have the chance. This idea of taking initiative is something that I think really, when I play blitz chess online, not that I'm all that good, but when I compare my own playing to people who are ranked like 700 or 800 or 1,000 or above that really, this is something that's lacking, is this initiative of seizing the moment to make a move that could create problems for your opponent, because the moment is not always there. Obviously there's tactics and there's all sorts of things that win you games in chess, but sometimes it's as simple as making sure that when you have a moment to take advantage or when you have a moment to destabilize your opponent's position, you immediately take it. And playing a move like rook to g1 is not bad. There's nothing wrong with it, really. But it just lacks initiative. Maybe. So that's interesting. All right, here we go. Let's see. I want to see Alex Lorga. Hi, man. To be honest, I did rage a bit last time and even disliked your video. Ha ha ha. But I took it back and liked this video. Champion. I started to enjoy your streams. You're a cool person. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, the end of that stream. I wouldn't blame you, man. I would have been inclined to dislike my own stream the way that ended. It was such a disaster. So yeah, it was my second stream and I was figuring out how to do everything, and yeah, I apologize. But if you've got a good sense of humor, about it, I appreciate that too. But yeah, gonna try and be a little bit better today, and make sure that we get rid of any technical problems. So, but thank you though for leaving that comment, Alex. I appreciate it. OMG, doubling the rooks on the H file, huh? Doubling the... Yeah, but I mean, the problem is okay, so this pawn, maybe you want to highlight the h6 pawn, but the knight is here. The knight doesn't have to move at any point. If the knight's there, you're not going to be able to take the h pawn with a rook, ever, basically. So, I'm not sure about doubling h2. Yeah, you'd have to find a way to kind of infiltrate via the h file, and that can only happen once you get rid of the h pawn. But maybe at some point, it could be possible. So... Still waiting on Carlson. Okay, so one thing that I haven't mentioned, y'all, is that Abasov has burned a lot of time. He's on 39 minutes and 35 seconds. Carlson's on 53 minutes and 50 seconds, so Carlson's pretty happy. But Abasov has burned a serious amount of time. He's 14 minutes behind, and... Again, we might find ourselves in a situation like the Gukesh game where there are like 20 moves left and both players, you know, are scrambling. The last 10 of those moves, there might be a little bit more pressure on them time-wise, depending on how complex this position gets. And by the way, looking at it, it can get plenty complex, as we already discovered by going down the rabbit hole of queen takes a2. So this could be a situation where one or two unusual looking moves, like, okay, I can't think of anything right now. F4 is not as wild as it maybe first seemed to me because of the fact that you can exchange by picking up the F6 pawn, which I missed. But there's a lot of room for complications here, and I think especially from Carlson's perspective, because he's the one who gave up the pawn. Abasov is up a pawn. You know, he can rest on the fact that he has a material advantage, but Carlson needs to recoup that material advantage with a positional edge. That's important. So that's something to think about. We have 41 concurrent viewers. Welcome if you're just joining us. Great to have you. Oh, on the G file. Doubling the rooks on the G file. Okay, he said sorry. Awesome. Let's see if we can figure that out. Doubling the rooks on the G file. Yeah, again, I think you're kind of blockaded by your own pawn right now. So unless you find a way of opening things up, I don't think it makes all that much sense of getting the rooks, you know, say onto G3 and onto G1. It's not going to achieve all that much right now. But again, it's not inconceivable that at some point that happens. We'll have to wait and see. This pawn, I mean, if, for example, he does choose to play f6, then it's going to become very important, and Carlsen takes, which you would expect. Then the G file is going to become very important, but you probably won't have a chance to double your rooks, because more than likely there'll be an exchange of rooks. So we'll see if that materializes. Okay, so analysis board, waiting on Carlsen to figure out what to do next. We looked at f4. The other move is rook d to e1, which I think also makes sense because the idea of pushing f4. Now if you take, suddenly there is just a world of pressure on the e6 pawn, and then you can't even defend because you're attacking it twice. You might have to push, and then you're going to lose that pawn, it seems, anyway. So, we have the move. We have f5, f4, excuse me. Carlson plays f4. Guys, we have a move. And gals, we have a move. All right, let's update the analysis board. So we don't have rook to e1, but we have immediately f5. And now looking at it, f5 actually makes more sense than it did before. Hi. Oh, T, thank you so much. One moment. Bless your heart. Who's that? Is that Mom?
It is.
Oh, hey, Mom. How are you? Thanks so much.
Dad said I have to get down under the handle.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Water.
I appreciate it. Cool, I'll see you later.
Good. Something good.
Hey, y'all. Yes, that's right. I know you're judging me and you're like, dude, was that your mom? Did your mom just make you tea? Yes, she did. And Mom, thank you for that tea. I appreciate it. All right. Hopefully that's not the most exciting moment of the stream, getting tea. But here's something about this tea. Let's head back to the board so we don't miss anything. Carlson just played f4, and then I'm going to tell you about the tea situation here. This teacup, if you look at it, that is the oldest tortoise on Earth. I think Jonathan the tortoise in St. Helena. My mom and my uncle both went to St. Helena, and they saw this tortoise. It's like the oldest living thing. I think it's 180 years old or something ridiculous. And now I'm drinking tea out of this mug that came all the way from St. Helena, one of the most remote places on Earth. I don't think I will ever go there, but maybe. We'll see. All right, so back to the game. Now, again, Abasov is, having to think about what to do, burning more times, down to 37 minutes, and bearing in mind now has 20 moves to make those, 37 minutes to make those 20 moves left before we get to the time where they get an extra half an hour. So, yeah, this is definitely going to be a concern for him. All right, back to the chat. Let's see. What do you do in this position? Let's maybe do a little bit more of an interactive poll here. King to b8. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. It's black to move. Yes? Yes. Black to move. King to b8. Think king to b8 with the idea of maybe at some point maybe playing bishop to c8. Yeah, bishop to c8 is along the lines of those that follow after king to b8. So that's one option. Alternatively, e takes f is okay. It feels uncomfortable because you're immediately giving up this pawn. And now, which I didn't mention before, is the queen is still attacking e6. After takes, oh, I'm sure it's rook to e8, which solves all the problems. Yeah. So you're attacking this square and you're attacking this square at the same time. And this move just solves both of those problems. And this position is equal. So what do you guys think? Is Abasov going to play this move, king to b8, with the intention of bringing the bishop round to support the e8 pawn, so that if takes, the rook can still come here. Oh, wait, hold on. Is that right? Let's just calculate this. Wait. Okay, so no. He's not going to take first. He's going to play king to b8. King to b8. And now f5. Wow. Okay, so here's the deal. If you play king to b8, you are allowing f5. And f5 does look very threatening because if you take now, this knight has a very, very solid outpost. It's not entirely sure how long the knight is going to be able to keep that outpost. Maybe for a while. Because I was thinking maybe you could try and pick off this. But actually you could just exchange. So this seems a little bit passive. What else is available to Abasov here? E takes or king to b8, king to b7. King to b7. This is tricky. I don't think this is a particularly good point to do a vote. We'll find another place, but I think it's a little bit too unclear. It seems very uncertain at this point. Okay, we have takes. We have a move on the board. If you're just joining us, Abasov with the black pieces, playing Carlson with the white pieces. We have e takes f. Let's take a look. E takes f. That's on the board now. E takes f is an inaccuracy. It's an inaccuracy, but it seems like it's the only real option. If we were looking at some of the other options, the other option was a little passive, playing king to b8 and then bringing the bishop in to try and support this loose pawn, and then maybe taking on f4. But right now he takes immediately, and now Carlson has a few options. This pawn is hanging, by the way, so he really wants to regain his material. He's already given up a free pawn, and I think he probably will take with the knight. More than likely have a bishop exchange, and as scary as it looks, having this bishop on f6 attacking the rook, and the queen, by the way, is also attacking the e6 square, the e6 pawn, that just gets solved after rook to e8. So this is perfectly fine, but I think there might be some other options. First is, instead of taking, is to immediately play this. Wow. To b8, and then queen takes on f6. And now we have a position where Carlsen has an edge. So I think the order is what I got wrong here, is that after takes, that the rook could come to e8. But actually what you want to do is take immediately, because the e6 pawn is hanging and you can take with check. Wow, interesting. Let me just back up here. F takes. Is there something here? King to b8. Ah, so this is why. This is the whole point, is you're going to have to play king to b8 anyway. So you might as well play it first. So maybe this is really the reason why this is an inaccuracy. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so now Carlson to move. Carlson's trying to figure out, how is he going to take? Is he going to take with the knight, or is he going to take with the bishop? As we looked at, the engine really prefers taking with the knight. You're not obligated necessarily to take back. But now, how are you going to defend this pawn? Let's look at this a little bit deeper. F takes, and now rook g to f8. Ah, that's also an option. Defending this knight, because the knight is also hanging, potentially. Although there could be some nasty discovery tactics if this file gets opened up. Here, for example, if you do something like you just move. Oh, wait, no. Not that. Okay, let's try takes. Oh, no. We don't want takes. We want to keep the bishop on e7. So you just move back. Check. Obviously, you're losing the knight, which is terrible. I'm trying to make this tactic work, even though it's terrible for white. So the idea was that check takes. And then if you were able to, it's getting the bishop over here and then revealing a discovery attack on the queen. That's what I was trying to look at, but it doesn't work at all. Anyway, back to the game. Let's see. What are we waiting for? We're still waiting for Carlson to decide. Is he going to take on f6? That's the question. All right. Let's take a look at some... A is going to take on f6. Knight takes f6. That's the situation. OMG. All right. Let's see. Okay, so no new comments. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're up to. Are you enjoying the chess? Are you fascinated? Okay, wow. So we have a move. We have another move here. All right, hold on. Let me just back up, because things are getting quite interesting here. We have takes, and now this is the point that we're looking at. Queen takes, and I think this is not good for Abasov. I think he's missed. No, he can't have missed queen takes. I mean, I did. I missed queen takes e6. Check, and now you can take with a queen, and you've regained your material advantage. Because if we calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. So the difference, though, is that although white's material has been able to gain back the loose pawn, look at black. Look at black's pawn structure. It's going to be really ugly. You've got this isolated f pawn that looks like it might fall. Yep, we have queen takes with check. Wow. Queen takes with check. Fascinating. Queen takes with check. I'm sure we'll see king to b8. It's just a matter of time. King to b8, and then Queen takes the bishop that's hanging on f6. Super interesting. And now I think Abasov needs to start really realizing that now that he's lost that pawn that he gained in the opening, now he has to really think as defensively as possible and do everything in his power to try and get a draw. But it's not going to be easy. This f4 pawn and these two isolated pawns, they're kind of useful, these two pawns in particular, because it's very difficult to push either of these pawns for the time being. Maybe not, but this pawn is definitely going to be something that is going to become a target for Carlson. Now, is he wondering about, what is he thinking about? Is he thinking about king to b7? I don't know why you'd play king to b7. King to b7 is very, very counterintuitive because, it's not, it's counterintuitive because it doesn't work. You're just blocking your bishop out. But the engine is recommending it. But it really just prefers king to b8 so that you can bring the bishop out to c8. Then get it active again. If you play king to b7, this bishop is so garbage. Literally just is completely useless. You're going to have to move again. The only time that you can come to b7 is if you're intending to play king to b6, which seems odd. And then you can bring your bishop back to c8. All right. So Abasov again taking a sweet time to think about what to do next. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break because I didn't take a break last time, and then we'll jump back into the commentary. So because of the fact that I still want something on the screen, I'm going to show you guys some incredibly entertaining footage of my cats fighting. I've edited something together, so I'm going to move the live feed and I'm going to leave the board up. You guys can continue following the live board updating when they're making moves, and then we're going to look at my cats fighting. Yes. Okay, and then I just need to put up a note saying that I'll be back in 5. All right, enjoy. I'll see you guys later.
Hi. David.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Oh, it's on. Okay. Sorry, guys. I left my microphone on. I'll be back in a sec. Right. Hello, everyone. We're back. Ah, I just got my cat, and I wanted Claude to say hi to everyone. Come here, kitty. Claude, say hello to everyone on the stream. Claude says hi. He hasn't been very happy to sit on my lap today. I don't know why, but I'm gonna try and see if I can persuade him. Grand Mouster Claude, that's his name. That's his new name when he's on stream. He has the ELO rating of, what's that one cat? That cat bot? Mittens. That's right. So he's already calculated all the lines that could happen in this game, and he's no longer interested in watching. So, okay. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we haven't done that yet. So back to the game. Welcome if you're just joining. Let me know what you guys are thinking in terms of which move will happen next. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Why you only show Magnus's game? You know, some people have recommended that I look at other games as well. But, you know, I like kind of sticking to one game. Chess is complicated enough. Having to try and figure out like 8 different games, it's just, for me personally, it's too much. So yeah, I like just doing one game. That's the short answer. Now, there's something about this position that if you are a beginner, you would know the importance of having the knight on f7. Why? Why is it super important that the knight is on f7? If the knight wasn't on f7, or wasn't on the board, what could be played that would be devastating? It would be ultra crushing. If this knight was not on f7, what move does white have to basically win the game immediately? Oh, nice instructive little puzzle. Pretend the knight's not there. Let me know in the comments if you know the answer. I hope you know the answer. What could white play if this knight was not here? It's the first thing that I thought of when I looked at this position, once it had updated. Speaking of updating, let me just update the situation. Okay, so we have... Oh wait, hold on. Okay, so we had the king moving to b8. We have takes, and then we had what? What am I missing? Hold on, let me just back up. I missed a couple of moves here. Okay, so takes bishop, bishop move, and then rook move on it. Okay, cool. So bishop moves back, and then the most recent move was rook to e1. So the move that I was looking at that you have to be very careful of if this knight wasn't here is bishop to e5. Knight's doing a pretty good, there we go. Renila Chess has got it. Leavia Wesley's got it. Bishop to e5. Okay, sorry kitty, I'll let you escape. But for now, obviously with the knight here, that's not possible. If you do play bishop to e5, you're going to have to block with a rook. And even then, you actually can't do that because you can still take the rook because the queen is supporting that square. Do you want to escape? Claude? Do you want to go, kitty? Okay. Sorry about that. Claudicus Maximus. Grand Mouster Claude is out of here. Okay, so back to the board. Now, questions. Bishop to e5, bishop to e5, bishop to e5. All of you guys who said bishop to e5, well done to you. You know your chess. That is the terrifying move. That's why it's important that the knight stays on f7. And now someone mentioned bishop to a3 as a possible continuation. So let's look at bishop to a3. Wait, hold on. Oh, it's not Carlson to move anymore, it's Abasov. But let's just rewind one moment. Is bishop to a3 that terrible of a move? You're attacking this pawn, but now knight to e5. Knight to e5. And the thing about bishop to a3 is that it's keeping a lot of pressure on this square, which is exactly what we were talking about earlier. Now, if the bishop was on b2, you wouldn't be able to play knight to e5 because it's being attacked twice. So it's not in your best interest to move here. Although after bishop to e5, yes, you can take, but now the engine seems to think that there are some tactics that you need to be careful of. Specifically, bishop takes g4. Oh, I suppose it's not a tactic. It's just a kind of indirect trade. This pawn is now completely ready to get munched. And if you think about it in terms of white's position, this pawn is a lot more valuable than this doubled pawn on the c file, on c5. This is kind of important to try to hold on to this. The c5 pawn, it was one of two doubled pawns. If you get rid of it, you know, there's another pawn behind it ready to take its place. But this one, it's doing kind of an important job for white. So yeah, bishop to a3, not ideal. But we have rook to e1. And now, let's see, are we waiting for Abasov still? Yes, we are. Okay, interesting. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a fight here for the e-file. No one's going to want to give this up. This is going to be quite a crucial way for both players to be able to infiltrate each other's positions. And yeah, rook to e8. One of the rooks to e8 is completely reasonable. Rook g to e8 is what the ancient wants. Okay. So now the question here is for Abasov. This pawn still looks like it's hanging. And what is the deal here with taking the g4 pawn? Why can't you take this g4 pawn? Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. So if you take bishop takes or rook takes g4, okay, that is up. That's around and about. Excuse me. Rook takes g4. Rook to e7. Rook to e7. So that's a pretty big concern. That pawn is still a pawn, but you are completely allowing rook to e7, and this is pretty devastating. Let's see, rook to e7, it looks like you can just pick up this knight now. Rook to d8. Okay, so you can't do it yet. Rook h to e1. And now this knight, where can the knight go? Rook to g1. Rook to g1, what? That's odd. Hold on, what am I missing here? Okay, rook to e1, and then you respond with rook to g1. Oh, wow. That's so clever. Like, what are you talking about? It's a blunder. Of course you take, and then you can just take over here. Very clever. Okay. So white has that as an option. But that's not the easiest move to spot, by the way. Anyway, all this to say that this pawn, taking the pawn on g4 with your rook, it might not be that great of an idea. You need to maybe do something to defend the threat that black has. I also missed this, of just infiltrating on e7. So something to worry about. Why isn't Levy streaming? I'm not sure. I hope that, you know, he is streaming at some point, but I'm not sure if he's been... I know he doesn't stream on YouTube, or at least I don't think he streams on YouTube. But he might be on Twitch. I'm not sure. I am not Levy's keeper. Okay, so this is the game as it stands. So really, as we just discovered, this e7 square needs to be a priority for Abasov to defend against. And I think that's why rook to d6 is also makes sense, because now, you know, you're threatening the queen, so there isn't necessarily the time to come in over here. Well, this would be kind of a weird exchange of queens. Play rook to e7 is still possible, by the way. It's just weird. Rook takes, takes and takes. It's kind of like a weird way of simplifying. But now apparently it's not so bad for black. So you don't really want to do that. But yeah, attacking is one option. Especially we get it. So we get this move. So I don't think Carlson at least is going to respond with rook to e7. We have this on the board. Rook to g1. Rook to g1 is also an option. Okay, we had this. Okay, hold on. We've had a very quick exchange. Oh wait, we've had a... Whoa! Pieces are flying, guys. Oh my goodness. All right. Things are happening right now. And Carlson is coming out of this with an edge here. Okay, so Carlson immediately snapped up this pawn on f4. Wow. Okay, hold on. Let's just take a look at what's going here. Carlson immediately plays queen takes f4, and then immediately Abasov responds with rook takes g4, attacking the queen, putting pressure on the knights, although it's defended by the rook on h1. And this is apparently still a little leaning towards White's direction here. White has an edge in this position. Let's see why. Okay, the queen is under attack, so you want to deal with that. Queen to f3, queen to f2, queen to d2. Basically anywhere that doesn't involve the queen getting eaten is okay, according to the engine. But the best move is queen to f3. Keeping the queen relatively central, keeping pressure on the knight. If the queen ever decides to move off the 7th rank, that's going to be a problem, because the knight is going to hang. And okay, it says now it's an inaccuracy. What does it want? Queen to f2. Okay, but it's the same idea here. It's the same principle, eyeballing the knight. But this is a little bit better. Oh yeah, queen to f2, actually, I would have said makes more sense, because you're also now attacking the loose pawn on c5. Wow, okay. Sheesh, we had a couple of moves like right after each other now. So Carlsen, 34 minutes on the clock, 15 moves to play. Not too big of a deal. I think his time management has been a lot better than what it was in the Gukesh game. And this, I think, is a lot easier of a move for him to make, having seen it. Queen to f2 just looks like it's a very natural move. You get the queen out of the firing line, you put pressure on the c5 square, and then you also are putting pressure, or continuing to keep pressure, on the knight on f7. Might want to get rid of the text. Oh, thank you so much. I am back. That's true. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, let's see here. Do we have the commentary, any footage from the game? Let me just back up, and I can get a little bit of footage from the game. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's get some footage up and running. There we go. We can see the players. There's Magnus Carlsen. There is Nijat Abasov from Azerbaijan. I hope I'm saying that right. But if I'm not, you guys will forgive me, because I'm not from there. Okay, let's get rid of these arrows as well, by the way. And now, say Carlsen does play this move, queen to f2. What are you going to respond with? Rook takes d3. Rook takes d3, but then you've got the exchange over here. You just take back. But again, it might be a situation where, as we looked at earlier with the g4 pawn, that the d3 pawn is more valuable than the c5 pawn. Is that an argument? Maybe not. Maybe the d3 pawn is objectively awful. So there's nothing wrong with exchanging this way. That's definitely what the engine was trying to figure out. The nuances between queen to f3 allowing, queen to f3 or queen to f2. Queen to f2 allows this exchange of pawns, and then queen to f3 doesn't. So it seems to think that queen to f2 is the way to go. I don't know though. Let's see. What? Carlsen doesn't play any of that. Carlsen plays queen to e3. Okay, what's going on here? He plays queen to e3, okay. And queen to e3 is very interesting because it allows for the option of this exchange. However, it is taking pressure off the knight, and now this queen is free to move around because it's not having to take care of the knight. And the engine regards queen to e3 as a mistake. And I think a part of it has to do with the fact that, with queen to f3 and queen to f2, you're continuing to keep pressure on the knight. And to a lesser degree, the rook. But unless there's another explanation that I don't see, but that's certainly one possible reason. But looking at a queen to e3 also allows a little bit of versatility because you're holding the d pawn. At any point you could say, okay, unless black decides to defend the c5 pawn, you have the option of snapping it up and then allowing this exchange, but it's going to be more on your terms. you're gonna get to set the moment that you're gonna take if black chooses not to defend that pawn. And black doesn't have to defend that pawn because after takes, it's an equal trade. Interesting. Okay, so let's head back to the game. I think this is going to really force Abasov to think very carefully about what his next move will be. After Carlson has played queen to e3, keeping an eye on his own d3 pawn, but then also putting pressure on the c5 pawn. All the other moves were also moving the queen in this general vicinity, but along the f-file. So not completely off of what the engine wanted. The exception, of course, being that there's still no longer any pressure on this knight. All right, we have another move. We have rook to e6. Okay, let's throw this in. First, let's see. Rook to e6 is the top recommended move by the engine. So Abasov finds this. And this is definitely the way forward because it leads to a slightly more equal position. Makes sense when you look at it. There's pressure along the e-file. And the queen just has to move. And now I wonder if there's a way to kind of try and reorganize black's rooks onto the e-file. It doesn't seem so. It would be nice if you could move back with your rook, but of course you can't because the knight's over here. And this is maybe a little bit slow. So it seems that Abasov has found the correct move, but the advantage here or disadvantage, it's basically equal. Still equal position. And it'll be interesting to see how Carlson responds to this attack on his queen. We have several moves here. You can move to f2, you can move to d2. Both of those are fine. Queen takes c5 is also a move. And I mean, part of the point that the queen came to e3 is to attack the c5 square, so this makes sense. I'm curious what happens if you take this pawn. Then we have rook takes h4. Whoa! Oh, yes. Okay, so this is tactically very dodgy. Takes. I mean, of course you can't take because your rook is hanging. So this is just. But then there is a check though. Queen to b6, but then you can just trade off, and now black is actually winning in this position. So okay, so taking the pawn, not an option. We have rook to e4. You don't want to take this pawn, you want to retreat, but where's the queen going to go? Is the queen going to go to d2? Is it going to go to f2? Those are the main places that allow white to maintain an advantage. Da, 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 da. All right, back to the live stream. We have a total of how many? 81 concurrent viewers. Welcome. Man, that's a lot. All right, let's take a look at the chats. Oh, thank you, Memes101, for reminding me to get rid of the text. I appreciate that. Queen to f3, queen to c6, or c5. Okay, queen takes c5 we looked at. Queen to f3. Moving back. Can you just move back? There's a question. So the queen did come from f3. Moving back to f3 is an option. Oh, but now I think we have the same tactic that we had before, no? Queen takes e1. Oh, no, you can just take. Oh, of course. This is a disaster. This is a disaster because you have to take back with the rook and then the knight's on h4 hangs. Okay, definitely not an option to move back. And I think this is why the queen has to either come to d2 or f3, is because the queen actually needs to guard the rook on e1. Okay, I didn't quite appreciate the seriousness of this threat. And I think this is why this is the right move for Abasov, is that the idea is that the rook will always be able to take here or take on e1 because it's going to remove the defender, provided that the queen isn't on either of these squares. So I'll give you an example. Over here, if you take with the rook, you can take back with the queen. Of course, you cannot take with the rook because then the knight's on h4 hangs. If you move the queen to f2, same thing. You can take, You can, in this variation, take with either piece because the queen's doing a great job along this diagonal. So with that as a consideration, maybe queen to f2 is a little bit more solid. Queen to f2 seems like the way forward because it also allows a little bit of pressure on the knight on f7 and gives some options. Okay, so we don't get queen to f2, we get queen to d2. All right, so Magnus obviously found queen to d2 being a little bit more comfortable for him, so he plays that move, and this is definitely fine. But it should be said that in this position we don't have the same advantage that Carlsen had just a few moves ago. So it seems that has kind of dissolved away, and now it's looking a lot more equal, a lot more like a draw. Carlsen does have a very tiny edge, but nothing really major here. It looks like, oh, well, these two double pawns are going to be a big problem, but they're kind of blockading any sort of breakthrough. At some point, you're going to trade one of these off, and then ideally, when you have a situation like this with these two doubled pawns, you want to go and try and pick one of them off, and then that will allow you to break through if you can put pressure on one of them. But it seems, from Carlsen's perspective, that he's very far away from putting pressure on any of these pawns. And even the h6 pawn, which might become another target at some point, it's being protected by the knight and the rook on e6. So this is definitely not straightforward for either of the players. All right, but again, Abasov to move 26 moves in with 24 minutes left on the clock for Abasov. So 14 minutes. 14 moves with 24 minutes left. Not terrible. Not nearly as bad as it was for Carlsen. I think he had 7 minutes for 14 moves against Gukesh, heading to move 40, and he blitzed them out. But things can change very quickly. In that game, Carlsen was very lucky because he happened to find a route to equalize the position that was very simple. It was like a very simple line that would help him to avoid losing the advantage that he had, or allowing Gukesh to capitalize on the advantage that he had gained. So, but here it seems that they probably do have plenty of time, but it just depends. If there's some complication that happens between now and move 40, you don't want to be on the bad side of the clock when that happens. Knight maneuver by whites. Yeah, maybe something like this at some point. I think knight to f5 is perfectly reasonable. More than, because now you're attacking the h6 pawn 3 times. It's only being defended twice. And pushing, of course, you can't do that yet. So let's see what happens. Rook takes. Okay, so it's really in Black's interest to try and make sure that they simplify. Again, there's only one way to take here. Before we're looking at the option of if you played queen to f3, you can take with a rook as well. So I don't get this. I know the engine says that, and Carlsen played queen to d2, so there must be some reason why queen to d2 is better. But queen to f2 seems a little bit, it offers more options than queen to d2. But I suppose it's more defensively minded. Now, with the queen on d2, you are defending the d3 pawn, so maybe that is also a consideration. And, okay, so that's the other thing that we're looking at, is this loose pawn. So yeah, then that makes sense, I suppose. So exchange takes, you have to take not with the rook, you have to take with the queen here, otherwise the knight on h4 hangs. And now queen to d6. Queen to d6, holding the h6 pawn, and now you can't play knight to f5 because the bishop is attacking that square, and also the queen is attacking d3. So there's a lot still left to play for Black. I think he needs to go this route for sure. He needs to exchange, takes with the queen, and then queen to d6. That looks like perfectly fine for black. Nice and solid. You're not letting anything go. And also, the problem with keeping this rook over here is that this bishop is like kind of blocked in. You know, the rooks are in the road, and the rooks need to be traded off to make this bishop a little bit more effective. Moves are on. Yeah, moves are on right now. So right now, this is the live game. Carlson has just played queen to d2, and the green board over here is the analysis board. We just looked at what happens if rook takes e1. We have an exchange. Can't take back with the h rook because the knight hangs, so we're going to take here, and then queen to d6, attacking the d3 pawn and then defending the h6 pawn. Even though the h6 pawn isn't being attacked, maybe after you respond with queen to c. Oh, what? You can't play queen to d2. Can you play queen to d2? Is this bad? Knight to e5. And then you're probably going to want to exchange off. Yeah, takes on e5. But anyway, having the queen on d6 is important long term for trying to defend this pawn, especially with the rook on h1. And if you want to start mobilizing your knight, you just have to be careful. But yeah, queen to d2 apparently is not the best move. Anything yet from Abasov? No, not yet. Still waiting. Still waiting for Abasov to figure out what is happening. Welcome. If you're new here, welcome to the game. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. And let's do a poll and see again what hemisphere. I want to do another poll. Let's do a poll. What hemisphere are you from? We did this yesterday. What hemisphere are you from? Northern, southern. Actually, I should be... no, this is fine. Let's do this. Ask your community. Hit it. Where in the world are you from? Are you from the northern hemisphere or are you from the southern hemisphere? Okay, let me just quickly update the footage here. This is Prague. And as much as I like Prague, we prefer to see the guys who are... Oh, there we go. Carlson, Abasov, they're on the screen. All right, let me know, guys and girls, where you are in the world. I'd love to know. For those of you interested, I'm from beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. It's a wonderful day today. Even though I am in the southern hemisphere and it's winter, it's actually really, really nice weather. This is one of the great things about being in Africa, is that our winters are really mild. They're not super bad. There's a couple of cold days and rainy days, but mostly nothing freezing. Doesn't get down much below like 7 or 8 degrees on a very cold day. Most of the time it is like, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 in winter. And then as we go into summer, it starts hitting like 30 degrees. So very, very nice weather. You guys should definitely come and visit South Africa. The only problem is that we have load shedding, which is like the word that we use for random power cuts. Although they're not random, so that's nice. But that's the one downside. And speaking of downsides, nice segue. Abasov is burning through time on move 26. He really just needs to play rook takes. I mean, this is the easiest way forward. I can't imagine what else he's thinking about. Rook takes is definitely the way to go. Rook takes, and then queen to d6 is perfectly playable and doesn't really require much thought. You can calculate after. I think he just needs to make a move at this point. You don't want to put more pressure on yourself than necessary, especially with 14 moves left to play. So he just needs to go for it. Carlson is also might, just start blitzing out moves to try and put more pressure on Abasov. So yeah, this needs to just happen. He just needs to make the move now. All right, let's get this up to live. Okay. We have a move. We have a move. All right. Knight to e5. Hold on. We don't have takes. We have knight to e5. Gosh. Knight to e5. The engine really does not love knight to e5, but there is only one move. Okay, this is a critical point in the game, folks. This is a critical point in the game. There's only one move that allows white to keep an advantage. What is that move, pray tell? And I have to say, I'm looking at it now, what the engine is saying, and I can tell you, I would not find this move. It's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one. Wow. All right, I'll give you guys a moment to think about what you would do in this position if you're playing Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces. Firstly, knight to e5 is a really interesting move because you are ignoring all of the things that we were talking about earlier about trying to simplify so that you can get your bishop out. You're jumping into the center and trying to take initiative. And here, there are several things that you can do. Taking is probably not one of them. Because after takes, you give up your most valuable piece, which is this bishop, or one of your most valuable pieces. This bishop is so much stronger than your opponent's bishop right now, this dark squared bishop. You really don't feel great about trading, but at the same time, this knight is like in the center, completely dominating. And there are some tactics, by the way, which I just saw now, is that if you do something passive and you play like a4, for example, now there's some issues about rook takes h4. And now you have this this fork that's a possibility, although the engine seems to think there's something better. Rook takes d3. Oh, wow. Rook takes d3. That's even better. Beautiful move. Gosh, and you can't take back with the queen because, of course, the rook hangs. Really interesting. So that's a kind of roundabout way of gaining a pawn. But yeah, that all kicks off with rook takes h4. Awesome move. And then you can play the cool knight takes d3 move. Incredible. So this knight is definitely a lot more threatening than it may seem on face value. You have to deal with it, and there are several ways of dealing with it, but the main one, which is just eliminating it, you don't feel great about because you're giving up this awesome dark square bishop. Maybe it looks like moving one of the rooks is the way to go. And rook to e3. And rook to e3, I think, is the best move because it's guarding the square. Now this is no longer possible. You can't take, because after takes, the knight coming here does nothing. You just hang your piece. So that doesn't work. And also, you look like you're seriously considering maybe doubling your rooks at some point. Not now, obviously, because that's going to hang your knights on h4. But eventually, maybe playing rook h to e1 is the follow-up to that. So, yeah, this has certainly created some food for thought for Carlsen. But h3 is the only way for white to continue. Rook to h3 is the only way for white to continue and maintain an advantage. According to the engine, everything else is not quite as effective. Sorry, let me back up. So we have knight to e5. Everything else. If you play rook to h3 over here, you can even do that, defending the square. It's not as good. They really, really want rook to e3. This is the way to go. And I think after having explored some of these variations, it does make sense. The only other thing I would say is maybe why not rook to f1? I think rook to f3 achieves a couple of things. Apart from defending the f3 square, it also defends the d3 square and gives you the option of doubling the rooks later on, or even doubling this way, although you'd probably be less inclined to do that with the bishop still sitting on c8. It reminds me so much of those memes where like the bishop is like so far away that you don't know where it is, and then you think you're checkmating your opponent, and then it comes out of nowhere from the far side of the board. Okay, back to the game. Carlsen's still thinking, will he find rook to e3? We will soon find out. I think he will. All right, let's see. Now we can do a poll. Let's do a poll, folks. Does Carlsen play rook to e3? Yay or nay? Where's my live stream? Where's my live stream at? Okay. Rook to e3. Knight takes d3, you mean? Yeah, probably. I'm sure I misspoke. Okay, let's go. Poll time. Oh wait, there's a poll happening right now. End poll. 55% of people are in the southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. 45% of people in the northern hemisphere. That's great. I'm glad that we could clarify that. I think that's the opposite of what it was yesterday. I'll double check that. Question. Will Magzi play rook to e3? Question. Rook to e3? Question mark. Yes or no? Go, 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 go. Hit it. Will Magzi play rook to e3? Yay or nay? What do you guys think? By the way, there are plenty of moves that are also great. Rook to h3 seems to do the same thing. Also holding this square, defending the d3 square. But it feels a little bit, maybe a less direct of playing the same thing. What do you guys think? Welcome to the 77 concurrent viewers who are watching right now. I hope you are all having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world and that you're enjoying your Saturday. A little bit of downtime, a little bit of time to enjoy some chess. I hope you have some delicious food from your home country. There is nothing better than a home-cooked meal. Sitting in front of your TV or your cell phone or your computer, just having some delicious, some fine food and enjoying some great chess. This is a fantastic game to watch because we have Carlson, who is the Goliath in this game, and we have Abasov, who is the David in this game. David versus Goliath. Abasov ranked some 60th, 70th in the world, but he's playing in his home country, Azerbaijan, and he has gotten to the semifinals. Furthermore, Abasov has qualified for the candidates tournament seemingly out of nowhere. Right, the candidates tournament is, the top players in the world who are vying for their position to become the person to play the world champion. There are only a few spots, usually reserved for the top 10 players in the world if they qualify. And Abasov has no business being amongst those players, but through sheer determination and hard work, he has found himself qualifying for the candidates. Some people might say, well, he hasn't qualified yet because it's the first, second, and third. And these are the semifinals. What happens if he loses this and loses the third, fourth playoff? Remember, Carlson is not interested in playing in the candidates. He's already forfeited his spots and thereby allowing Abasov to qualify directly. Doesn't have to do anything special. Doesn't have to win. He is automatically qualified, which is great news for him. The only downside for Abasov now is that he is on the wrong side of this position. And we have a move. Sorry, I missed it. Rook to e3 was played. Okay, hold on. End poll. Okay. The poll has been ended. Apologies. So 60% of you guys were correct. He did find rook to e3. That is the winning move. Now, no tactics along the lines of rook takes h4 are possible because the knight can no longer infiltrate over here or over here. Oh, have we had a couple of moves? I think we have. Hold on. Oh, okay. The kings have come off the board as well. Sorry. I got distracted in my big speech about Abasov. So that, again, makes a lot of sense. Tucking in the kings for safety, and Abasov does the same thing. Bring the king up to b7. So let's get the analysis board current. I think we're going to have a little bit more in the way of activity on the board because of the fact that the clocks are so low. So let's quickly make sure that we are up to date over here. Kings are in the middle, and I think we're all set. Yes. All right, I will be a bit more attentive, make sure that I don't miss any moves, and hopefully we can keep our eyes on the prize. This position is still more or less equal, but Carlson has a little bit more to play for and probably has a lot more. Okay, we have another move. We have queen to e7. Queen to e7. Was that amongst the moves? Yes, queen to e7 was amongst the engine moves. So Abasov has played queen to e7. And this move, yeah, again, it's a little bit weird, actually. This knight on e5 is kind of blockading black's pieces, and it's also preventing white from infiltrating. This bishop on b2, it's just kind of like you don't necessarily or don't really want to give up this bishop. And now, if you're Magnus, knight to f5. Knight to f5 is possible. Oh, finally bringing the knights in. Yeah. So I think Abasov is definitely calculated knight to f5. What is he going to do with his king? This feels like a very natural move for Magnus to play knight to f5. Attacking this pawn, attacking the queen. And now, after knight to f5, where does the queen go? Queen to g5. Over here. Wow, and this is complicated, hey? These are not the kind of moves that you want to just run into. This takes quite a bit of calculating to make this next move, this queen to g5 move. Because you need to calculate exactly what's going to happen after the exchange occurs over here. Threatening to take. So, rook takes? What? Rook takes. Queen takes. Oh, wait, hold on. What am I saying? Queen takes g5. Okay. And then rook takes. Oh, rook to e2 check. And then I imagine the queen comes back. Yeah. Okay, so this is a real roundabout way of exchanging and simplifying the position. And then, obviously, oh, there's a check first. Okay, check to c3, and then finally, bishop takes f5. So, yeah, that's one way to go. But gosh, that's complicated. Maybe it's less complicated than it looked initially. But, yeah, that's something to seriously think about, food for thought. If Carlson does play knight to f5, he is kind of potentially provoking queen to g5, and then everything simplifies into maybe an unremarkable endgame for Magnus. He might not be happy with that, especially considering the position as it stands right now. That said, the engine still prefers knight to f5, so there might be some other ways of dealing with these exchanges that might be a little bit better. But it's not very easy to see. It should also be said that knight to f5, by the way, is the only move that gives white some fighting chances. Everything else, apparently, according to the engine, is like completely equal. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and if Magnus realizes that knight to f5 is really his only fighting chance. Down to 21 minutes to play 10 moves. 2 minutes a move. Not super comfortable. Okay, so we have some footage. I think this is Fabian Prague in the top right-hand corner. I'm just going to leave it up there because it will eventually cycle down to Magnus and Abasov footage of them playing, I'm sure. Instead of jumping back and forth, I'll just leave it up there until it comes back. All right, so let's take a look at some of the comments. Who do you think will win? Renila Chess asks. Well, the way it's going right now, I mean, I would hesitate to say Magnus. I do think it's possibly heading towards a draw, but I think if anyone is going to win, I would probably say Magnus right now, just considering that there's still this issue with the pawn structure. And this h6 pawn is probably okay, but maybe it's a little looser than I think. After something like knight to f5, you're attacking this twice, but yeah, there might be this long exchange. It's very difficult actually to calculate exactly what's going to happen. But I would say that, as the engine says, white has a slight edge, but more than likely I think this might head towards a draw, unless somebody does something catastrophically bad, which is not entirely impossible. So yeah. All right, analysis board is up to date. That's good. Let's just take a look at some more comments. No annoying Indian commentator. Nice. Hey, I don't think Indian commentators are annoying. Actually, you know what the thing about the Indian accent is? I appreciate that that's some kind of compliment, but I think that I listen often to the, what is it? Chess India channel. And I find that the Indian accent has like a real musical quality to it. And that's from someone who's an English teacher, by the way. I quite like it. I think it's got a little bit of a musical thing to it. All right, do we have a move? Still waiting. Knight to f5. I guess I should say that because like the majority of my audience are from India, according to my analytics. Hey, we have knight to f5. But I do actually think that the Indian accent is kind of interesting. It's unique. Right, knight to f5, attacking the queen. Let's see, does Abasov immediately, like this would be terrifying, immediately just, oh, yes! Oh my gosh. Yes, immediately plays queen to g5. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Doesn't even think. He's got it like, he's got that bullet in the chamber. He knows exactly what he's going to do. All right, now, Magnus, let's see. Have you calculated this yet? He probably has. Sorry, that was a little bit over dramatic, but I was quite shocked that he immediately moved. I didn't think he was going to... I thought he was going to think a long time before he played queen to g5. Oh my gosh. Okay, so both players have clearly calculated all of this. They figured it out. The only difference here is that the engine actually prefers... Okay, let's just set it up on the board. The engine actually prefers rook takes e5, but now Carlson has played bishop takes e5. I don't think there's a massive difference here. I think the difference is that rook takes e5 forces all of the pieces to exchange, including the queen. And I don't think Carlson is interested in going into a queenless endgame. He wants to keep some material on the board so that he can try and gain some advantage. That's why here you can see b takes e5 is an inaccuracy. Engine prefers just getting all the pieces off the board. But Carlson opts for bishop takes e5. And this is the position as it stands. 15 minutes left on the clock for Abasov. He snapped off queen takes g5. Didn't even think, oh, not queen takes g5, queen to g5. Didn't even think about it. Immediately played queen to g5. And now Carlson has also come back quickly with bishop to e5. Or bishop takes on e5. What is the one commentator, that Indian chess commentator says? Chops off the knights on e5. I should add that into my commentary. So Carlson comes and chops off the knight on e5. There we go. Okay, you play knight to f5. Indians sometimes stutter a lot. That's a bit annoying, but all okay if you understand it. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's just quickly... Let's quickly cut off the chess 24 feed because I think we're going to go into something that is unrelated. Okay, let's take a look at some more comments. We've got Srikanth Tupurani. Magnus can convert this into a win. So many times we've seen Magnus do impossible things. He's very good in converting endgames to win, even when there's a tiny advantage. So true. I definitely agree with you. It's something that we saw in the first game of the Gukesh matchup. That first game, Carlson had just a tiny little foot in the door. That's the analogy that I used, and was able to open up the advantage to a massive difference by the end of the game. And eventually Gukesh resigned that first one, and sadly was not able to win the second game to force a tiebreak. But that is the reason why Carlson's here. And we have another move on the board. Rook to g2. Rook to g2, yes. Attacking the queen, attacking the king. There's only one move. And that's retreating the rook. We have an exchange of rooks. I'm sure the queen will take on e2. And we will find ourselves down a little bit more material. Takes, I'm sure we'll have takes with the queen. And now, here's the position as it stands. Queen takes f5 is expected. The knight is hanging. And then what will white do here? So Carlson has definitely calculated this. It looks a little threatening. Queen takes. Now I think rook to e1 is the only way for white. Or maybe is this a possible move? Rook to h5. Kind of creating a little bit of an oblique attack on the queen on f5, and also holding the bishop in the center of the board. This always feels uncomfortable when you're trying to defend this way, but it's important to note that black is never going to be able to attack the pinned piece more than twice, because the bishop is a light squared bishop. There's no way of attacking the bishop unless you're going to bring the king round to f5. which is not going to happen. So playing rook to e1 is perfectly fine. There's plenty of time. But we don't have rook to e1. We have the other option, which was rook to h5. Nothing wrong with that. A little bit more aggressive. You're able to attack the queen. And I suppose the other useful thing of playing rook to h5 is that you're able to keep pressure on the h6 pawn. I'm going to quickly go and grab my cat. I'll be back in a sec. Claude? Wow. Claudical? Hey, pumpkin. Come here. Hello. Wow. Yes. Oh, hello. Hello, Arthur. You're so cute. You're so cute. Hello, pumpkin. I'm going to say hello to all the people. Everyone say hi to Grand Master Claude. Claude spelt with an apostrophe. No. Claude, just stick around. Just stick around. The people want to see you, and I want to see you too. I think Claude is a little bit camera shy. Hey, Claude, say hello. Meow. Okay, back to the board. Sorry, everyone. Back to the real board. Okay, nothing's changed. We haven't seen anything. We're still waiting on Abasov to make his mind up where to put his queen. His queen's under fire. And we are waiting to see what his next move will be. Queen to f7 is perfectly fine. And also queen to f8. Those are the two suggestions. So let's see. What will he do? Yeah, you don't want to take on e5 because that just loses the exchange, I believe. Takes, for example, queen takes e5, queen takes, and then you just down the exchange. There's a rook and a bishop, yeah. So that's not an option. Got to move the queen. Queen's being attacked by the rook on h5. And yeah, there are a number of places to put the queen. G6, F8, F7, F6, H7, those are all perfectly reasonable places. But the one that is equal, has an equal evaluation is queen to G6. Okay, so let's play queen to G6. And now how do you sort of unravel this if you're white? Okay, rook to H4. I'm presuming that you're going to want to try and get rid of this pin, because this is not a long-term solution if you're playing with the white pieces, and maybe shuffle your queen, maybe get the rook here. This is a little bit uncomfortable though, because, well, the bishop is still trapped in. And this is something that's interesting in this position, is that, oh, whoops, that's not the move. That's something that's interesting in this position, that at several, or at one point in particular, Abasov had the option of trading off rooks on e1 and allowing his bishop to enter the game, but chose instead for knight to e5. And I think this knight to e5 move has, it's been a really interesting move because it's allowed his knight to stay in the center. But at some point, I think White realized that he needs to chop off the knight on e5, which is what he's done. And now, finally, I think Black is really, really going to want to be able to get his bishop out on c8, because it's just so bad right now. It literally is doing nothing there. Needs to come out. And in order for it to come out along this diagonal, at least, he needs to try and create some space by moving these pieces around. Can even keep the pin on the bishop, just move the rook back, but just this piece needs to be active. All of White's pieces are active, but Black right now, yeah, it's got pressure and it's got the pin, but this bishop is garbage. So he needs to sort that out. But the engine seems to think there's plenty of time to sort it out. It's not a very big weakness right now. There's a lot of maneuvering that's going to happen as we go into an endgame. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments. Okay, he played knight to f5. Yep, we're all up to date on that. I agree. Magnus is no doubt the best endgame player. He can destroy people seemingly easy. Absolutely. Saga Shah from Chessbase India says that. Yes, that's it. That's what I was going for. Okay, chop off the knights on e5. That was intentional. That wasn't me just stealing his line. I like that. How do you get this live board? Okay, so some of you, okay, we have a move. Let me take a look at the move, and then I'll tell you how to get the live board. So we have queen to f7. Queen to f7 is on the board. So let's back up. Queen to f7 was the option that was chosen. Perfectly fine according to the engine. And now I think we're gonna find ourselves maneuvering our pieces around for a while, possibly. Rook to h1, maybe rook to e1, trying to release the pin. Black is also going to maybe move his rook back so that this bishop can become a little bit more active. And possibly this pass pawn on h6 is going to become the thing that is going to allow black maybe some chance at yeah, finding some counterplay along the h-file. Maybe if you could play h5 and then something like bishop to g4 at some point, just kind of cementing these two pieces together and then gradually allowing your remaining pieces to try and support the h-pawn. But bearing in mind, while that's happening, white is not going to sit back and just mess around. White is going to desperately try to break through and get his pawns up the board. Okay, I just need to quickly let Claude escape, and then I'll tell you how to get this board. Hey, where are you? Right here. All right, folks, back to the game at hand. So the board, if you go onto chess.com and you Google FIDE World Cup and you go onto chess.com, you will find all of the boards for all of the games. They're updating them live. And you can also do this kind of analysis that I'm doing. So if you are interested in looking at lines on your own, absolutely go and find this. You can move the pieces around. You can look at what the evaluation does while you're playing. It's a really useful tool that chess.com have provided. And I don't think you have to be like a paying member or anything. You can just go onto their site and do it. So that's pretty cool. So back to the game. We've got a couple of things that we need to talk about right now, because looking at the board as it stands, it's even, but the clock, right? Carlson has got 16 minutes, Abasov has got 9 minutes, and they've got 6 more moves to play. So that's fine. That's not a huge deal now. They just need to get to move 40, and then both players will receive 40 moves extra. So that's what we're dealing with right now. It'll be very interesting to see what moves they decide to spend the time on, because you want to try and use as much time as possible. But of course, you can't spend too much time getting caught in tricky lines. You have to try and find a way forward that is going to be like not something that's super time consuming. So I think that's also going to be a consideration, especially for Abasov, who's down to like 10 minutes now. Yeah. All right, queen to e3. Let's take a look at queen to e3. Queen to e3, trying to put pressure on this pawn over here. Engine hates that. Queen takes h5. Yeah. So it's kind of important that you keep the queen along this diagonal. Well, you don't really want to move the queen, to be honest. Wherever you move the queen, it's going to be a bad idea, because the queen's doing an important job keeping these two pieces under control. So what you really need to do is move the rook around, try and bring it around to e1 maybe, and then move the queen to h2 to relieve the pin. Would be one way about it. I wonder if even just queen immediately to h2. Let's see if that makes sense. Queen to h2. You can just do this. But now queen to f1. Okay, so you have to be careful. The queen is also infiltrating, and this could be a little bit scary. Although the queen is guarding the second rank here, you're not going to get any checks yet. Maybe this is a serious concern of allowing the queen into f1, and probably the reason why you just want to retreat the rook first. Make sure that the rook's controlling the first rank. Yeah, queen to e3, not ideal. So any moves so far? I think we do have a move. Let's see. No, we don't. Oh, well, we should, because it's Carlson to move. Abasov has moved. Oh wait, hold on. I think, let's just double check, make sure that we're not missing anything here. Yeah, this is the live board as it stands right now. Carlson with 13 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock. White's a move, and yeah, that's what we were looking at a moment ago. Whether Carlson can really move his queen anywhere, it doesn't seem so. Looks like you want to move your rook. Even moving your king is okay, but definitely keeping your fingers away from the queen. I find like I do this often when I'm playing. This is that I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Like the first thing that you calculate when you see a position, you're like, oh, I can't do that. And then suddenly it pops up again, and then you've forgotten why you can't do that, and then end up blundering. I've seen so many people do this on live streams. They're like, even Carlson, I saw this one game where he was like, okay, I can't castle in this position. And then he thought about it for like 30 seconds and then ended up making a move. Oh, no. It was like, oh, I mustn't move this piece because if I do, then my opponent will be able to castle because his opponent wasn't able to castle through check. And then Carlson was like, oh, I can't play that move because I want to make sure that he can't castle. And then later on, he ended up playing that move. And it was like freaking out because of it. So, all right. So we have queen to h2. Gosh. Carlson blundering. Carlson plays queen to h2. What? Carlson plays queen to h2. Oh my goodness. Abasov, now is the time. Guys, this is the moment that we're going to get the David and the Goliath. He's collecting the stones. He's putting them in the sling. Can he find queen to f1? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, here we go. Will he find queen to f1? No! What? No! Oh, no. Oh. That is so devastating. Queen to f1. He doesn't find queen to f1. Oh my goodness. Carlson just blundered so catastrophically. Ah, queen to f1. It's not entirely clear why, but you can't allow this piece to infiltrate. Maybe there's some horrible tactics around the corner, but queen to f1 is just crushing. So sad. Okay, instead we have, let's just get the position on the board. We have rook to g1. Now, rook takes h6. And by the way, rook to g6 is a blunder. The engine really, really hates it. And it's not a blunder because of the fact that you're hanging a piece or because, you know, your game is over now. It's just because queen to f1 was so strong and not playing it, the engine just really, really doesn't like it. So, okay, we have rook to g6. And now I can't even do my poll. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. All right, rook to h4 is what I thought too. What are the best moves? King to c3. Carlson seeing your stream. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. How did he not see queen to f1? I'm not sure. I'm sure Abasov thought there was something about the move that he didn't see. If Magnus does something weird, you never know. Man, this is one of the problems with playing, and this is something that you see when you're playing anyone who's better than you. You start double, second guessing yourself. You think, oh, this can't be the right move. Because there's no ways that they would blunder it. Well, even Magnus Carlsen, 2800, one of the best, if not the best player in the world, makes mistakes. And it will happen. Maybe it happens once every 3 or 4 games that he makes a mistake like this. But you have to realize that he is human. And you have to really have your eyes peeled so that when he makes that mistake, that you're ready there to pounce. And unfortunate for Abasov, he doesn't see the winning move. But that said, this game is nowhere near over. There's still a lot to play for. We have rook to g6. And now Carlson, by the way, is got the double attack on the h6 square. What happens if you take on h6? We have rook takes, queen takes. And now queen to f3. I was initially thinking about a check. But the one good thing here about black's position is finally this bishop is allowed to roam free and enjoy his life. Whereas, for a long time, this bishop has just been boxed in by the rook, by the other rook. And now finally we have the bishop roaming free. So we have this move, rook to g6. Oh, so sad. Okay, we have takes. Let's see if we've got this exchange yet. Carlson's still calculating. Can he play rook takes? Now I think everything's fine. There's no real threat after you take here, because you can't. Yeah, if you take here, you can't play queen to f1, obviously, because the rook hangs. So yeah, the threat, it was one of those one-off moments where Carlsen dropped the ball. And now, do we have a move? No, we don't. So now Carlsen is probably thinking, rook takes h6. What are the implications of rook takes h6, which is what we're looking at right now. Rook takes, queen takes. And this here is not really that great. Queen to d2. Oh, queen to d2. Okay, you're just blocking. And now, you've dropped the pawn. I mean, black, what is black actually doing? Black doesn't really have much to play for here. So, it prefers this move over here, queen to f3. I mean, the idea of maybe bishop to f5 targeting the d3 square, I would imagine. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's one possible option. But now actually queen to f2. I think this is the way for Carlsen to go. He has to take on h6. I mean, it's a free pawn. Engine thinks it's... Wow, Carlsen doesn't take. He plays bishop to f4. Okay. Well, I suppose bishop to f4... I can see why he played bishop to f4. He's attacking the pawn twice. Ah... Hold on. Now things look like they're starting to turn. Okay, we have bishop to f4, and now rook to f6. And obviously, there's a very simple tactic. First is that you can't take with the bishop, even though you're attacking the h6 square 1, 2, 3 times. If you take with the h6 with the bishop, now you can just resign if you're Carlsen. He's not going to do that though. I mean, I think you can still make rook takes work. Let's see. Rook takes. Okay. And now? Oh, I see. You can just take here. And that's hanging. So, oh, that's obvious. All right, but let's see. Okay, so rook to f6 and now bishop to e3. Just maintaining pressure on the square and then also defending the f2 square. Ah, got it. All right. Do we have anything else? Carlsen to play now. I think the easy way of playing this without having to think or calculate too much. Queen to bishop to e3, holding the square and then also maintaining pressure over here and also attacking the c5 square. Back to the chats. Hi, I'm new here, Bromain. Welcome to the chat. Great to have you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. What will happen with queen to f1? I see nothing. Let's take a look. Queen to f1. Let's just see first. I'll take a look at queen to f1 in a moment. And we also have a move on the board. But first, let me make sure that we've got some footage from the live stream going. Okay, so here's the board. Let's take a look at this. Let me just let you guys see this. There we go. Okay, this is the board as it stands. Or maybe... Oh, I don't think this is their board. This is someone else's board. Let's back up. Let's see if we can get any footage of... Oh, there we go. We've got some footage of Carlson and of Abasov. This was a little earlier. Let me just fast forward. Do we have anything current? Okay, we'll leave that up for the time being. And when we get anything more current, I will show you that footage too. So back to the chats. Someone said, what was it? Queen to f1. Is that right? Queen to f1 was the move suggested. I'm presuming that was earlier. Oh, wait, here. Queen to f1. Oh, now you can't play queen to f1. But queen to f1 was the big move that Abasov missed earlier. Yes. Would I want another cat? Renila Chess asks. Man, cats are incredible. I have to say, I am in the fortunate position of my parents taking care of the cat and not having to do, or specifically my mom. My dad and I are just the beneficiaries of having a cat around. But the two cats are pretty insane as it stands. They're pretty wild. So, I don't know, a third cat might change the dynamic. It might go from a little wild to completely unhinged and crazy. So, I'm not sure I want that to happen. But, some people like unhinged and crazy. And so, you know, everyone's gonna have a different preference to cats. But I like two cats. They're great. Okay. Question. I think Carlson should also move his king from the c file. Yeah, okay. Well, now it's a little tricky to move it from the c file because the king's doing an important job keeping an eye on the d3 square. And, you know, if these pieces start heading to the d file now, then you're going to want to make sure that the king is around and about. So that last move does change things. But now, let's just back up. Okay, so we have bishop to e3 and now bishop to f5. And now the engine is really screaming and it's saying you gotta take. You just gotta take. This pawn has been hanging for a few moves now. It's gonna drop off at some point. Just take it. There's nothing wrong with taking. And I think that is very, very likely what we'll see from Carlson. He might be just looking at some of the finer points of taking, but I think now is the time to take. There's no threat, by the way. Or maybe there is. Hold on. Takes. Rook takes. Oh no, I didn't think. Oh, maybe he's looking at defending this way, and now these two pieces keep control of the f file. I mean, that's something. Huh. And here's an interesting idea: is that after rook takes, if you play something like bishop to g6, if the queen ever moves away from, oh no, it doesn't work because the bishop is actually so well centralized that it's also guarding here. But I was looking at these kind of discovery tactics on the rook. So yeah, bishop to g6, engine's not in love with that. What are you gonna do? Okay. So apart from exchanging, but I don't really think you want to exchange. I mean, if you're black, you want to keep your heavy pieces on the board. This is tough. I do think that we're gonna see Magnus taking on h6 though. I would expect that. And then we'll see what happens from there. I have a cat and a dog. What's your rating? Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to ask you guys. Okay, let's do that. Let's do a poll. I wanted to see what your guys' ratings are. Okay, so everyone keeps asking me, what's your rating? What's your rating? Now I'm going to ask all y'all, what's your rating? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. All right. I think I can only give 4 options though. What's your rating? Do we have a move? What's the move? Wow, Carlson ignores the h6 pawn and goes for the hanging c5 pawn. Wow, is he getting greedy? Interesting. What's your rating? I'll just put how many options? 0 to, let's say like 700. 0 to 70, 0 to 700. 700 to 1200. How many options can I have? That's going to determine what I do here. 1200 to 18. Can I add it? Okay, hold on. Let's just do 4. Let's just do 4. 0 to 500. 500 to 1000. 500 to 1000. Okay, we've got some more moves on the board, guys. Things are happening. Things are happening. Wow. Okay, so Carlson is up a pawn, by the way. Still putting pressure over here. And now, what is up? We have queen to g6, trying to hold the pawn on h6. He's desperately trying to keep everything together. Oh gosh. This looks like we're getting another taste of Gukesh round 1, where Carlson starts off with a little bit of an advantage and starts making it more and more. All right, let's update the board. We have bishop takes c5, and then queen to g6. That's the board as it stands. White is up a pawn. Can he make it count? It's Magnus Carlsen. Let's see. All right. What's your rating? 1,000 to 1,500. 1,500. And then 1,500 to... I can just say greater than maybe 1,500. Greater than sign. Okay. All right. Let me see what you guys think. What's your rating? In brackets in ELO. ELO. And you guys are going to give me your Lee Chess ratings. No, I don't want your Lee Chess. Chess.com. Let's use chess.com as the gold standard. All right, go, 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 go. Hit it. All right, let's see. Back to the game. Okay, so this is very interesting. Is that Carlson has allowed Abasov to keep the H pawn. And that kind of surprises me a little bit because he's basically saying after taking on c5, either he thinks that he can still win this. Maybe he can win both pawns. The bishop comes back, it's attacking 3 times. How do you defend this a third time? The king's all the way on b7. It can't come all the way over here and defend this pawn. And unfortunately, because this is the wrong colored bishop, there's no way that the light square bishop is going to defend this pawn unless the pawn can progress. And right now the pawn's being blockaded. So the only thing that black has in his favor is that he's attacking the d3 pawn twice. And it's not being defended twice, it's being defended once. But this is what I'm thinking. No, not that. Maybe, no, this is tricky. Maybe, oh wow. Okay, we're having a whole bunch of moves, folks. It's happening. Oh no! He's given a big advantage to Carlson. We have, what's the move? B takes a7. Bishop takes a7 is a move. Oh, guys, bishop takes a7 is a move. Check this out. Okay, we have to wear the cool glasses. We have to wear the cool glasses because we found a cool tactic. Check it out. Carlson can take on a7 after takes. We have check. Oh no, maybe that's not the way to go. Hold on, I screwed up the cool glasses. Wait, we'll figure it out in a sec. Apparently, no, now it's gone. What are you talking about? Bishop takes a7. That was the move. Okay, wait, the engine's thinking. Okay, hold on. Maybe it's not me. Maybe the other engine on the other board is taking its sweet time. Oh, I'm not updated, that's why. Okay, here we go. No, my tactic was right, but the board was wrong. Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec, folks. I'm going to update the board, and then this is going to be incredibly cool, I promise. Okay, who is it to move here? It's white to move. All right, we had queen. Let me just back up 1 moment. Okay, I've just missed the king move. Oh my gosh, I'm such a noob. Okay, then we had rook, and now here's the tactic. Bishop takes h7, and if you take back with a king, queen to f2. Oh wait, I need to put the glasses on for this part. There you go. Queen to f2, attacking the king and attacking the bishop at the same time. The king has to move, and then you can pick up the bishop on f2, preferably with a rook. And then you've got checks, and you're doing so well here. You've picked up 2 of black's pawns. You're up 2 pawns, and you're almost certainly going to win this. Is Carlson going to see bishop takes? Let's see. No, he doesn't see bishop takes. He plays rook to h4. Magnus. That was the move, buddy. Bishop takes h7. These are the kind of tactics that are so difficult to spot. But I mean, it worked. It worked perfectly. If you take back with the king, you can't take. You have to do something else. You can just retreat the bishop. Wow. Okay, Carlson doesn't spot it, but that was the way to win. The game would have been over. I can tell you now that I think Abasov would have played a few more moves, but now Carlson still has a clear advantage, but it's not definitive. It is not definitive. Carlson still has a lot of work to do, and Abasov also has some fighting chances. He's only down a pawn, and he has a lot of activity with his pieces in the center of the board. But Abasov has a lot of things. He has a lot of issues, specifically with the h-pawn. Although now, so earlier the rook was blockading the h-pawn. Now, is it possible to try and get this moving and then lock it in place with the light square bishop? That's what you'd want to do. Let's see if there's some way of achieving that. Okay. That was the line we were looking at. Let's just back up. Okay, so we had rook to e6, and now rook to h4. That was the missed win by Carlson. He should have taken on a7 and then brought the queen into f2 and picking up the bishop. Going into an endgame, queen-rook endgame, up 2 pawns. That would have been super decisive. But now, not so clear. Okay, so yeah, here you can see the engine is flagging rook to h4 is a miss. Big miss by Carlson. That was the last move. Let's take a look at the chat real quick. Okay, so we've got people taking a look at the. Oh yeah, time pressure is a big factor. Okay, that's true. So we'll be very fair on both players, considering the fact that taking on a7 is not definite. It's not going to be in your field of view, especially considering you're going to want to play accurately and not do anything too crazy with just a few minutes on the clock. They are on move 39 though, so they just need one or two more moves and they will be in business with an extra half an hour each. So, in summary, if you're just joining us, welcome. We're taking a look at your guys' elos. Let me know, what is your rating on chess.com? You can take a poll and let me know exactly how good you are at chess. I'd love to find out. And also, if you're just joining us, Carlson was doing fantastically. There was one moment in time, we'll back up, where Abasov could have really taken control of the game. It was over here. Let's back up, see if we can find the move. Carlson played queen to h2, completely allowing Abasov to infiltrate with the queen to f1 and possibly, rerouting the rook and putting pressure on the king on the first and second rank, taking control there. Sadly, he did not see it. They've been short on time. He played instead rook to g6, giving up that advantage. And since then, Carlson has been playing clinically, except for the fact that Carlson missed over here, that the bishop can take on a7. And after the king takes back, you can throw in a check and also recapture the bishop on f5. And now Carlson would be up 2 pawns, but Carlson missed that as well. So it's been a little bit of a back and forth game between the two players. This is the position as it stands with a rook on h4. And now the target is a little bit less clear how Carlson's going to pick up this h-pawn. Before, when he was blockading the h5 square, it really just seemed a matter of time that he could, well, not like that, bring the bishop around and attack the h6 pawn 3 times, because he's got all this pressure on the h file, and there's no way of defending it 3 times. The king is too far away to come all the way around and pick up the pawn. But now that he's moved, there seems to be some possibilities around maybe pushing this pawn at some point and trying to defend it using the bishop on g4, or even maybe, the bishop on g4, or maybe the bishop retreating back to g6 and trying to hold that bishop. So certainly not clear. Move 39, we're just waiting a few minutes to see if the clocks can update. Oh no, they still need to play a few moves, and then the clocks will update and give each player half an hour. All right, this is the live board. We're looking at the game right now live. And the players right now, you can see in the top right-hand corner of the stream. All right, let's take a look at some of the results from the poll. We have 14% of our players between 0 and 500. That's kind of beginner level. 500 to 1,000. Maybe you've been playing for a little bit and you're starting to learn the ropes of chess, and you can, you know how to en passant and do all sorts of crazy maneuvers. And then 1,000 to 1,500. That's the majority. 39%. And if you're in that rating bracket, it should be said that you are also in the top chunk of players who play on chess.com, I think. And then, 19% of players are above 1,500. Wow, you really know what's going on. You've been playing a while, and you're pretty solid. So that's a nice cross-section of the people who are watching this. Great to have you, regardless of your rating. And if you're just here to enjoy the show, that's fine too. You don't play chess, but you're enjoying the stream. That's fantastic. Glad to have you. One thing before I forget. It is great to have 114 concurrent viewers. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up. I don't know how many people like this. We've got 32 likes. Come on, guys. Let's try and get to like 40 or 50. That would be fab. Let's get some likes on this video. I'd appreciate it. And also, if you're new around here, do consider en passanting the subscribe button and hitting the notification bell. But we can pause that for the time being because we have a move. Bishop takes g4. Bishop takes g4, guys. That is on the board right now. Oh, no, it wasn't bishop takes g4. It's just bishop to g4. I don't know why I saw takes. Ah, there we go. Brain fart. Bishop to g4. Okay, so bishop to g4. Interesting. And this is exactly the idea that I was alluding to earlier, is that as soon as white moves the rook back, the square is no longer blockaded. And this is really one of the only ways I imagine to hold on to the h-pawn, is to move the bishop forward and then try and kind of lock it in place by playing h5. The engine really doesn't think too much of this move, but it seems that... Let's see, what did it prefer? Oh no, bishop to g4. That was the first suggestion. Fantastic. Okay, so Abasov is trying to kind of get his pieces working a little bit more harmoniously. And I think after bishop to g4, he's got to be looking to try and make h5 happen. That seems to be the goal. We all love chess. That's fantastic. It's not easy to reroute as there are bishop guarding the dark squares at the first rank? Question mark? Bishop. Oh well, right now it doesn't seem that there's any issue with rerouting the bishop. But I think maybe that's an old comment and I'm just catching up a little bit late. But nonetheless, this is the position as it stands. I don't think I've missed anything. They're on move 40, so they're up to move 40. They both have almost no time left. It doesn't matter if you're just joining and you're seeing, whoa, 2 minutes on the clock. 1 minute 35 seconds on the clock. What are they doing? They have just arrived at move 40. They're going to get an extra half an hour, both of them, to carry on fighting. And I think it's going to be a fantastic finish. Now, with Carlson having an edge, I think that he's a clear favorite, truth be told, to be able to take this one down. I don't know how. I think Abasov is not going to just give it up. And especially with Abasov having the H-pawn on the board, that could be his way to equalize and claim a draw with the black pieces, which would be really, in this position, best case scenario for black. I would love for him to win. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that he's going to do his best to try and hold on to a draw. He's down a pawn after coming out of the opening. Just a reminder, Carlson was the one who was down material in the opening. He was down a pawn, but he used that pawn sacrifice to gain a positional edge. And now it is Abasov who is the one who is down a pawn. All of these things considered, I think Carlson, knowing how hard he is on himself, is going to really regret the fact that he missed. Bishop takes h7 in this position. Bishop takes h7. King takes. Queen, check. And wherever the king moves, you can pick up the bishop. And now you're up 2 pawns. And just got a crushing advantage. Black has no chance. Position like this, Abasov's going to play a few more moves and might just seriously consider resigning. But now, Abasov is hanging on. Hanging on to the game. Back to the game. This is the position as it stands. What? No. This is the position as it's... No, what? What is going on here? Did I miss something? Wow. Oh! Guys, Carlson's made a mistake. He rediscovered the tactic, but now it doesn't work. What's the move here? He rediscovered the bishop takes on a7, but it doesn't work now. There's a... What is going on? Oh, no! He found it was the wrong check. It was the wrong check. No. Oh my gosh. Brutal. Abasov needed to find queen g7 check. Oh, devastating. Devastating. No. What is going on? Yeah, this is the last move. Okay. All right. Let's just quickly show what's going on here. Oh, I cannot believe this. This is brutal. Wait, hold on. Let me back up. We need to get the position as it stands. Okay, we had this, 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 and now it's supposed to be... Wait, hold on. I've lost control of this game. My emotions have gotten the better of me, guys. I apologize. Okay, takes, queen, king, rook, rook. Okay, king, rook, rook, which was a missed win, correct. And now bishop to g4, and now takes. Bishop to g4. Now, with the bishop sacrifice, trying the same tactic after king takes, you can throw in the check, and now the bishop is hanging. Instead of being hanging on f5, now the check comes on g1. But black has the option of not taking and throwing in a check over here first, which is apparently equal. But instead, he put the check over here on f6. And now, king comes to b4. Oh my gosh, king to b4. This is crazy. Okay, guys, this game is completely out of control. What is going on here? King to b4 is winning. Everything else is not winning. King to b4. If Carlson finds king to b4, this game is over, according to the engine. And I'm not entirely sure why. I'm going to just be straight up with you guys. This is a crazy situation. King to b4. Let's take a look. Then we have check. Queen to f8 check. Hold on. Why is it? Oh, wait. Oh, wait. No, it's not white to move. It's black to move. Oh, excuse me. Queen to f8 check. And then bishop to c5. Blocking the check. Okay. So this is the point. This is the point. Is just that, okay, bishop to c5. Queen to f5. And then queen to b2. Oh, I see. I see. So here, what's happened is that by advancing the king to b5, your material advantage is quite noticeable. And there are a lot of threats. And I think a5 or a5 looks like it's coming. Okay, I'm spending a bit of time to try and figure out what's going on here. This is quite complicated. But the engine definitely seems to say that there's some long-term advantage. But the key here is that Carlson needs to find, not that move, king to b4. This is really, really interesting. I think king to, if you play it, for example, here, king to b4, and you take, right? Is this now just a draw? Oh, no, it's not. It's really, really, really bad for black. Okay, you're in a huge amount of trouble because it's queen to c7 check. Wow, and then this bishop's hanging, and oi, 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 oi. Okay, so this bishop is not takeable if you're black. That's clear. But I think a big reason, and every other move, by the way, doesn't win for white. Everything else is equal. King to b4 is the only way to go. We'll get a little bit more clarity of what that looks like if Carlson does find king to b4. But I think a big chunk of it has to do with these extra pawns and being able to regroup all of the pieces and make these connected pawns really talk as they walk up the board. That's got to be it, right? I think that has to be it. And I think here with this check, if white moves back and allows, let's just see what happens if you move back. If white moves back, oh, of course you can't move back because there's the check and then you're forking the queen and the king. So that's not an option. Wow. The only other option here is to block with the bishop. Either this is winning, king to b4, or blocking with the bishop on d4 is a draw. Sheesh, this is wild. I mean, this is completely insane. What a crazy position that we're looking at here. This is the position as it stands. Will Carlson find? He's got 26 minutes to calculate king to b4. King to b4, there are only two moves. Remember, we just discovered why you can't move on to the second rank because you're getting your life ruined. Not going to do that. Either this or you're going to block on d4 with the bishop. What are you going to do? Wow. Okay, only bishop to f4. Oh, is that for black to play? Yeah, but it's Carlson to play now. So, Renila Chess asks my rating. My rating is around between 1800 and 2000. On a good day, it's 2000. That's what it is right now, but I haven't played rated games for a while. This game has definitely, by the way, left a lot to be desired. 88% by Carlson and 84% by Abasov. They have not played ultra accurately. In the past, we've seen Carlson playing like 96%, 97%. This has not been one of those games. And even though he has a huge advantage, there's no guarantee that he's going to play king to b4. He might just block with the bishop and say, this is the way to go. And blocking with a bishop is quite a comfortable move. You know, you're taking control of the one vulnerability that you have. And just hanging your bishop and moving forward with your king, that's scary. That's a scary move. So this does not immediately jump to mind if you're playing with the white pieces. Blocking with a bishop, that immediately jumps to mind. I think Carlson's going to spend a lot of time thinking about this. I don't have a FIDE rating, so I have no idea. Let's take a look at some more questions. Question, ending the poll. Thank you for answering the poll. We've got another poll coming to you. Questions. Oh no, no questions. Carlson's played king to b4. Is he going to block with the bishop? Is he going to play king to b4? Now we know the answer. Gosh, this is really, really bad news for Abasov. Abasov is in serious trouble, folks. Serious trouble. All right, just a reminder, thanks for joining the stream. If you are just joining us, we've had an absolutely gripping game between Magnus Carlsen and Nijat Abasov. The man playing at home from Azerbaijan against possibly, if not definitely, the best player in the world. Unfortunately for Abasov, he had some moments that he could have capitalized on and really given Magnus a run for his money, but he was not able to capitalize on those moments. And now, after blundering, we have a very decisive moment in the game where Carlsen was able to spot, after check, that he can play king to b4, which is what he's played. We've got king to b4, and now things are looking even worse. We've got rook to e5. Wow, rook to e5. But now, oh, the yo. What is going on? Is this just... I mean, this bishop, by the way, is still hanging. You can just take the bishop now, if you're Carlsen. Just take the bishop. And now, you're assuming that king takes a7 is okay. But c5... Ooh, this is also a weird move to play. But it makes sense because you're a little bit scared about black being able to control the fourth rank, but I mean, you've got the rook on the fourth rank. So you're actually completely fine here. And I think if we look down the road, let's see. Okay, we have c5, now king to b7. And then rook to g8. And here you can see there's all of this pressure that is building up. And Carlsen is threatening to infiltrate to b8 whenever this rook moves. The rook doesn't have any checks, by the way. Yeah, there are no checks. And this is really weird because the king on b4 looks like it's out in the open, and black should be able to have some counterplay by getting some checks in, but there are none. The king is perfectly safe from b4, and I think this is exactly what's happened. Is Carlsen's calculated king to b4 is perfectly fine. Back to the board. Sorry, I'm using the wrong board for analysis. Okay, so we have rook to e5. What? Wait, hold on. Yeah, rook to e5. So we're still waiting on Carlsen to move. Is Carlsen just going to pick up the bishop here? We'll soon find out. Wow. Absolute madness. Crazy game. Magnus Stockfish Carlsen, bro. Absolutely, it's crazy. Okay, let's take a look at some of your comments. What about bishop to d4? What's your rating? Already answered those. Crazy game. Football Fan 69 says, absolutely, it has been a completely insane game. Let me know your thoughts on the game so far, if you've been enjoying it, and generally what you guys have been up to while you've been enjoying the chess. Oh, we're on 41 likes. If you haven't liked the video yet, do give it a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get to 50 likes. 50 likes would be legendary. We've got 137 concurrent viewers. That is fantastic. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see if we can get to 50 likes. Smash the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Oh, you know what I'll do now while we're waiting? We can do a little bit of a shout out. So one of my favorite creators, Chess with Patrick, guys, go check this guy out. He's such a legend. He's doing wait, hold on. Whoops. I clicked the wrong button. Hold on. I think I just closed the live stream, but it's not actually closed. Let's see if we can find it again. Live streaming. There we go. Okay, it's back. Apologies. So I'm gonna leave a comment because I'd love to. Let's just close the poll. There we go. Right. So one of my favorite chess creators right now is pretty small. He's actually got about as many subscribers as me. I want you guys to go check him out if you're interested in his road to 2,000. His road to 2,000 is my man Chess with Patrick. I don't know if any of you are watching his channel. Really nice American guy. I'll leave a little handle in the comments. If you're interested in what it looks like when someone's trying to improve their chess and go from, you know, a modest ranking of like 1,000, 1,100, and he's on his journey to 2,000. So go and check him out and let me know what you think, if you like him, if you don't like him. But back to the game. We have Carlson following up with d4, attacking the rook. Abasov has just moved his rook to e5, and now it's under fire because the pawn has come up to d4. And here it is very clear. Carlson knows that he is in the driver's seat. And it seems like the rook only has one square. The rook needs to go back. What is going on here? Okay, so let's update the analysis board because I'm way behind on the analysis board. Okay, we had this. Rook to h4. And what was the deal here? Let's back up and make sure that we've got the correct thing. Rook to h4 was the move. And then, oh, we had bishop, right. And the bishop was coming here with the intention of playing h5, and that still hasn't happened. h5 takes, check. Okay, so let's update this. Takes, check, which was a terrible move. Queen moves up, and then I think, was it rook to e5, and now Carlsen's played d4, if I'm not mistaken. This is the position as it stands. Yeah. All right, so this is what we're looking at. Both bishops are hanging. But at the end of takes, only 2 pawns versus 4 pawns. And by the way, this rook is hanging, so it seems like the rook has to move back. If the rook doesn't go back, if it goes anywhere else, I mean, is this, what's happening here? This is just mate, right? So if you go here, for example, oh, it's mate in 2. Check, mate, thanks for coming. So rook has to go back to e8 to defend the b8 square. I think that's a no-brainer. Let's see if he's found that move. The alternative is check. Okay, so that's what he's thinking about. You can also play check in a number of places. And those are both reasonable options. I think if he plays check, then it does allow him maybe to bring the rook. I don't know. This is not a fun position to play against. It looks very, very horrible. And I think the engine sees that it's not a great position. Okay, so back to the chat. Or did I miss something? No. Back to the chat. Let's take a look at some more messages. Hope you can do a collaboration with Levy. Man, dude, like Levy is like literally the king of YouTube chess. And I am like a pawn in YouTube chess. So I think it's pretty unlikely that he's going to be interested in collaborating with me. I do like him though. I've watched his content for a long time and I enjoy it. But I think my style is, except for the live streams, which is probably a little bit more conventional, not particularly different from most creators. Most of the videos that I do and the edits that I do, the ones that I really like, are quite time consuming and not really similar to the kind of stuff that he does. So yeah, I don't really think it makes sense to collab with him. But man, if you told me, he messaged me today and he's like, hey, David from Bronze Serpent Chess, I'd love to collaborate with you. I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. So anyway. All right, so d4, I think there are basically 3 moves that are being considered here. Check, is this a move? I mean, they're all equally terrible according to the engine. Check, check, or rook to e8. Defending mates in 2. So those are some serious things to think about, but I mean, there are only 3 moves, and the other thing is that Abasov has 25 minutes to spend time figuring this one out. The one good thing I will say from Abasov's perspective is that, yes, it does look like he's going to lose this. Okay, we have check on e7. Check on e7. Okay, hold on, let's back up. Hey. Sorry, give me one moment. Okay, we have this. Okay, that's the position as it stands right now. And now there are 2 moves that you can respond to this. c5 or bishop to c5. It's crazy to think that these 2 bishops have been hanging forever. And this is definitely something that you see amongst like high level players, is that they like keeping the tension. They don't want to just immediately give up the tension. And we've seen that. Oh, wow. We have winners. We have winners, guys. Carlson takes round 1. We have a winner. That is the end of today's game. Magnus Carlsen is the winner, and Abasov losing with the black pieces today, after Carlsen played c5. c5. So what's the real threat here? Let's take a look. Takes. D takes e. Wow. The best move that you can play here is taking. That's how bad this is. Like, okay, let's just take a look. What happens if you retreat with a rook? Maybe you play... Oh, what can you actually do here? I mean, there's definitely... Oh, wait. What am I saying? Yeah. The problem is that he's blockaded his rook. He's actually blundered is what he's done. The rook needed to be... not have the queen in the way so that it could come back to e8. Oh, because the queen is infiltrating. And then it still mates in 2 that we looked at before. Oh, devastating. All right, nice try, Abasov. You did really well. There was one moment, if we back up over here, one moment that Abasov had after Carlsen's queen to h2. Abasov could have played queen to f1, allowing him to infiltrate. And this would have been really great for black. Unfortunately for Abasov, he was unable to find it with pressure on his clock. Not all that much pressure. He had 9 minutes to play 6 moves, but instead he went with rook to g6. And Carlsen, although not playing at his best today, was able to secure the win, taking his advantage with the pawns and the pressure of having the bishop on a7. It's just too much for black to deal with right now. All right, so that is a wrap. What a fascinating game. Oh, my live is so laggy. Oh, the internet's probably a little bit dodgy. Okay, that's probably a good time to end it. Let me take a look at the stream. Okay, it seems to say that it's not too bad. All right, let's cut that out. Thanks, everyone, for watching. It's been a great one today. I will try and see if I can stream tomorrow, which would be a lot of fun. And until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a good one and bye-bye. Bye, everyone.